Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor, hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe again. Make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Before we get started, we got a couple of announcements. Please forgive me. I just finished eating some lunch, some much needed lunch. I just finished eating. Hit that like button, share, subscribe. You guys know the rules. Couple of announcements. Sierra Leone. Yeah, Sierra Leone is back on. Citizenship is back on in Sierra Leone. So if you're interested in joining us in Sierra Leone, I'm actually taking a group, hosting a group in 2 weeks. Damn. Yeah, in 2 weeks. Yeah, that's crazy. In 2 weeks, shout out to King Joseph in the chat room. You know, time goes by fast. It's already almost we gonna go ahead and claim it. It is already almost May. We gonna claim it. We are close to May. Even though it's early April, we are close to May. So yeah, so Sierra Leone citizenship is back on. So if you're interested in joining us, if you can't make it in May, I will be personally going with the group in December. So we got May and December for Sierra Leone. So if you're interested in joining us, again, if you're interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. Then we're also going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. Again, we're going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. Then we are going to, where else are we going? We got Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Again, we have Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Then Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. Then we have Namibia and South Africa. Again, Namibia and South Africa in November. And then back to Sierra Leone in December. So if you're interested in joining us, if you're interested in having a great time in Africa, please visit donfo.africa to learn more. We will love to have you all on the continent. Y'all, let's jump into it. I'm not buying, this story that the black Hebrew Israelites, Bishop Nathaniel went to Kenya and just said, and we're just out of the love of the Kenyan people, we're telling Kenyans that Jesus was a black man, and they just got upset and started throwing rocks at the Hebrew Israelites. I'm not buying that story. But this is the bigger issue. So you fly all the way to Kenya. Again, you fly all the way to Kenya just to interrupt church services. And it doesn't matter if you disagree with white Jesus, you disagree with Islam, you disagree with Christianity. You fly all the way to Kenya. And I made that flight direct from New York. It is a 14-hour flight direct, Kenya Airways, from JFK to Nairobi. So you fly all the way to Nairobi to interrupt church services. Come on now. Not to see the Serengeti, not to go to Kesarian with the Maasai, not to eat in Choma, not for the beautiful Kenya women, to interrupt church services. And we all know it's more than just saying that, because I could go anywhere within Christian Africa and respectfully say, hey, Jesus is a black man, and I won't get attacked. But when you interrupt church services, I mean, that's just rude and disrespectful. I would never do that. Even though I'm not a Christian, I would never interrupt someone's church on a Sunday or Bible study, whatever, just to, share with them, interrupt them and share with them Ifa or voodoo. Same thing with Islam. So that's the real problem. I've had the Black Jesus conversation with African Christians before, and it did not turn out violent. And it was more to it than just him. It was more to it than him just saying the Jesus was black part. I want to see the entire video because they record everything. So I want to see the entire video from start to finish. I want to see the entire video. Because they record all the yelling is the Revelations chapter 5 verse 3 read. All that's recorded. I want to see the entire video from the time they pulled up, set up, and started screaming in the microphones. I want to see the entire video because you're not going to convince me. Like they're not going to play the victim. That's what's going on here. They're playing the victim role, the victim card. That's what they're doing. But I keep saying this. I find it odd. I find it very odd. You're the house of Israel. Why not go to Israel and pull the same stunt? Why not go to the Wailing Wall or Mount Sinai? I don't know. The historical sites in your Torah or Bible. Why not pull up to those sites and have that same energy in Israel, in a land that you say is supposed to be occupied by the synagogue of Satan? Why not pull up to those sites and have that same militant energy in Israel? You can pull that stunt in Kenya. You can pull that stunt in the street corners of America because do it in Israel. Do it in Israel. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Pull up on Netanyahu. Pull up on Netanyahu. Pull up on the Wailing Wall. Pull up on them Orthodox Jews over there and start the yelling and screaming. That's what I want to see. Because again, per y'all, Israel's the promised land. Not Kenya, not Baltimore, not the street corners in Atlanta. It's Israel. Over there in the Middle East. So pull up on the synagogue of Satan, where they at. Where you guys claim the Jews left black and came back white. And do all and come with all the shenanigans. The Revelations chapter 5, verse 2. Read. Like come with all of that over there. Come with all of that over there. No, we're not playing semantics, okay? You know where Israel is. Let's not play at what is the Middle East. You know where Israel is, the country of Israel. Pull up to Israel and play the same games. Pull up to the promised land. Pull up on God's chosen people in the promised land with your Bibles, with your King James Bibles. Or are you guys waiting on the is the prophecy? Are you waiting on the prophecy before you can pull up on Israel? You got to wait for the prophecy. Is that what it is? You got to wait on the prophecy before you can pull up in the promised land. Is that going to be the excuse? The prophecy hasn't been fulfilled yet. That'll be prime time television. Pulling up on Netanyahu. Oh boy, here we go. They aren't sent to Israel, but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The lost sheep were scattered. Well, there's some lost sheep in Israel. There's some lost sheep there. So let me guess, the lost sheep are everywhere but Israel. That's what you're saying? So those are the excuses why you can't go pull up on Israel, because the lost sheep ain't there. Trust me, there's some lost sheep in Israel. You know what would be nice? Guys, and I say this respectfully. Oh, you telling me their beliefs? Okay. Yeah, go. There's some lost sheep in Israel. Go pull up on Israel, get the lost sheep over there. Yeah, I know what it is. It wasn't just we told the Kenyans that Jesus was black and they got mad. Nah, y'all was over there yelling and screaming, being rude, interrupting the church services. And they just had Negroes get the hell out of here. If you're gonna be disrespectful, yes. The Kenyans had every right to run them out of there. Every right. Because I wouldn't do anything like that. Like, I wouldn't do that. Do I agree with all the white? Like, when I went to Ghana, and in 2017, and I saw all the white Jesus pictures and paintings, I didn't pull up on the churches, and started yelling and screaming through a megaphone and a microphone during church service. Nah. So yeah, that's exactly what it was. The tone and their attitude that got them ran up out of there. There's a way to have discourse. Again, there's a way to have this. Yeah, the approach was just wrong. What they did was just stupid, and now they want to play the victim. But hey, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. But again, I still want to see them pull up in Israel. But guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in after the conversation. Link is in the chat room. Link is in the chat room. It's not about self-hate. It's about okay. Okay. You're making it about self-hate. Taking a European construct and creation and put a black face on it doesn't solve anything. I can tell you where that comes from because white people value it. So white people value Jesus and Christianity, and in Rome they made it their, I guess, the main religion of the Roman Empire. I believe my history might be off because I can tell you right now when we experienced slavery, when we were taken from West Africa, we weren't Christian. If anything, there were a couple Muslims. So taking the religion that was imposed on you during slavery and just putting a black face on it, that doesn't change anything. I'm saying Jesus didn't exist. That's just my opinion. So you can put him black, white, he didn't exist. But guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in after the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. But link is in the chat room. But yeah, I'm just saying, I don't. If you ask me, Jesus didn't exist. You ask me, all the patriarchs of the bathroom didn't exist. Listen, see this, see this. If E40 can be the GOAT, then Jesus can't be real. See, you conflating issues, AJ. You're conflating issues. E40 is the GOAT, and me personally, I don't believe Jesus existed. That's just me personally. That's me personally. But E40 is still the GOAT. Thank you. Go ahead, Elvis.
All right, what's up, Dennis?
What's up, Elvis?
All right, look, so I kind of feel sorry for Bishop Nathaniel and his crew. I think you're being a little harsh to them, right? And if you're a Christian, especially if you're an evangelical Christian and you want to spread the good news, in this case, they're not quote unquote Christians, but they have a burning desire to save people, at least in their worldview, that they want to save people who they feel like is lost. And for them, it's a sense of urgency, and they need to kind of impose themselves to be heard, so that the message that they're trying to espouse can be heard by people at any means, means necessary. So I think his heart is in a good place, but I want to understand from their doctrine: are Kenyans were Kenyans part of the original Hebrew Israelites? Because I've never heard about that. Other
Well,
than
see, there's so many different camps. So some camps will say that the Kenyans, Well, some camps think they're not African and that they're Hebrews, and that the Kenyans aren't Hebrews. That's what some camps will say, that the Kenyans wouldn't be considered Hebrew. Like Africans won't be considered Hebrews, because per the prophecy, it was the Africans who specifically sold the black Hebrews to America. So Africans aren't the Hebrews. That's what some of them say.
Yeah, I know that, right? Because there's some of them would say Africans are Hamites and they're cursed, and they're
Right.
not the same people as African Americans and those in the
Right. Exactly.
Caribbean. But I'm saying with the Kenyan part, because I know he went to Ghana, because there's this thing about the Ashantis being like the tribe of Levi or something,
Well,
or
it's just
something
not
like that.
true. It's not true, Elvis. These
Right. So
Negroes
I'm
are
I'm
crazy.
I'm
Yeah.
saying, what is the connection with Kenyans being part of the kingdom of Israel? Maybe some Israelites can tell us that, because I've never heard that part of it before. I know there's a couple tribes like the Igbos and other tribes that they said had some Jewish ancestry or something.
Igbos didn't start claiming that to the Biafran War, and there's just a few that claim that.
Right. So look, but I think I think you should kind of tone it down a little bit, because I don't think he did anything malicious in my view. I think maybe it was a cultural divide, and Kenyans can be quite religious, like and they love their
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, but I just think Elvis. So I'm not a Christian, right? But I would never ever pull up to your church during service and start screaming and yelling at you guys.
I mean, think about this, right? Let's take it out of religion, for example. Well, it's still in religion, but those doomsday preachers, right? People
Okay.
who are preaching about the words about the end, and you got to come to Christ. You see them on the corner store, you see them in Times Square, you see them, everywhere, and they're kind of almost harassing people who are passing by, and nobody, fights them or stones them.
Elvis, okay, you're all over the place again. You're in church, not on a street corner, not on 125th and Lennox, not here in the West End on a random corner. We're talking about you're in church, your place of worship, and I'll pull up to your church, Elvis, and start screaming and yelling during your guys' service. Is that wrong?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is wrong in that regard. What I'm saying, the reaction to was also extreme. You agree with that, right?
No, get up. But see, I need to see the entire video. That's the thing. See, that's the problem. They're only releasing the clip of them getting ran out, but they're not releasing the whole entire video because they record everything.
Mm, yeah, but I mean, the doctrine you can disagree with, but the way that they're trying to evangelize is something that's normal to most Christians. Sometimes you go to a gas station, people are going to pump gas.
Elvis, are Christians pulling up? Okay, so should a Christian pull up to a mosque on a Friday and start yelling and screaming in front of the mosque?
Some Christians do. They don't go in front of the mosque, but they go like
No,
on the
no, no,
corner store next to it.
but Elvis, stop dancing around and stop being disingenuous. We are talking. Should a Christian go up to a mosque in front of the mosque on the sidewalk in front of it and start yelling and screaming at the mosque?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's kind of productive, right? When you're trying to save people, you don't want to be too aggressive and too in their faces. But I'm telling you, Donis, it happens every day where people go to places like synagogues or mosques or people of other religions, and they get in close proximity to them to try to get their message, get their attention, and people will come in and try to hear what they're saying. You know, I watch Christians, apologetics, and they're confronting Muslim and arguing about Islam and Christianity, and sometimes they're in close proximity to where each other, worship. There might be on a Friday where Muslims are coming from the mosque, and you hear Christian preachers on the corner, arguing against, Muhammad and the Quran. So it happens, and sometimes it's just about discourse, and people can come and say, "Well, I disagree with you on this," and you can have a conversation. But I think the Kenyans resorting to violence, especially as Christians, that's not what we're taught.
I got to see the entire video.
Okay, I mean that's fair enough.
I got to see the entire video. Guys, links in the chat room. Links in the chat room if you want to call in. Please click on the link again if you want to call in. Please click on the link. But Elvis, I'm still waiting for them to go to Israel and do this.
But like somebody told you, right? They don't believe that Israel, as it is constant, currently is even right for them to be in the land of Israel because they haven't been gathered and returned by the
Elvis,
Messiah.
all their religious sites from the Bible and everything is right there in Israel. I'm waiting for them to pull up on Israel. That's where they need to go.
Yeah, but they haven't. It's not the time yet. If you know their doctrine, you know it's not the
Oh
right time
Lord,
for them to be in the
oh
land
Lord,
as
yeah,
they preach.
oh Lord, oh Lord. Well, the synagogue is saying they're having a field day over. They got all types of weapons and everything in their so-called land, they holy land.
Yeah, that is don't be calling for these people to get killed
Okay,
and
but
hurt.
see, and that's the problem. And that's the problem, Elvis. So, like, you're making excuses for them for doing it in Kenya, but then, as far as them actually pulling up on their so-called Holy Land, all of a sudden, it's like, I don't have them do that.
Yeah, because the Bible said that they once they leave that land, they won't be back in the land until the Messiah comes and gather them from the four corners of the earth and
Oh
then
Lord.
resettle them in the land of Israel. So it hasn't happened
Oh
yet. So it's
Lord.
not time yet, from my
Oh,
understanding.
oh
But
Lord.
I
All
passed
right,
the mic.
go ahead, Delroy.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's up, Delroy?
Oh, Dinus, what did they bum rush the church in Kenya?
Yeah, they bum rushed the church outside of it and started yelling and screaming
What?
doing church service.
What?
Yes, and people are like, "Oh, but I can't believe." I'm like, "Listen, you don't do that in a foreign country."
Hell no, bro. And so what is their premise of being there? Why are they there?
I have no clue, and that's why I keep saying, "Why not just go to Israel?"
Nah, bro, you can't have them do that. They
Yeah,
still our brother. They still our brothers. That is, they'll be dead.
yeah. I'm just like,
Yeah.
go to Israel. Like, just go to Israel. Like,
Well, the one thing I could say about them, if you're gonna believe in Jesus or whatever, make him black.
okay,
That's the only thing. We both know it's nonsense, but if you're
uh-huh.
gonna believe it, make him black. As simple as that. That's my thing.
And I agree with
But
that. That makes you feel better. Like, Black Santa Claus, Black Barbie dolls.
right, exactly.
I get that. Then yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
make him black. And I think imagery is a lot. And I think if
So
black people were seeing Jesus as black, I think it'll make a big difference in their thinking and the way they go about their life. My thing is use it to your advantage. If you're gonna be a Christian or be a Muslim, use it to your advantage and to your people's advantage. That's all I'm saying. I don't have to believe it or like it, but if you
but
and I grew up in the church when I was younger, and my mom is a minister. But if you're
but
gonna believe it, go ahead.
the idea of Christ is not about his ethnicity, right? It's about his message, his
No, no,
saving
it
grace.
makes a big difference. No, it makes a big difference. The Pope worship the Black Madonna. Okay, the Pope worship a Black Jesus. Right? You see Putin. You see what Putin brought out last year, right? You see what he brought out? Image. Putin told his people
Can I speak,
that
Dynus?
that they hold on. Let me finish.
I was
Putin
coming
told
in
his people,
because I heard the brand between Kenya
right?
and the Hebrews.
Who's talking? Who's talking?
Go ahead. I had to mute him. Go ahead, Del. I'm trying to hear you, but they keep talking. Go ahead, Delroy.
Yeah, Putin told his people to worship Black Jesus. He told that with his own mouth. Image make a big difference. That's what I'm saying. You have a different mentality when your teacher in front of
Hello?
you is
Hey,
black.
artist, Eric, somebody's talking. I'm gonna pass to you when he's done. Okay, go ahead, Delroy.
You're right. So
Okay.
your teacher, your instructor, it makes a big difference when especially when you're a child and you're listening to your instructor, your teacher, right? It makes a big difference to you if that person is black. It don't have to be, but it makes a big difference
Okay, cool.
if
I'm aware.
that person is black. That's all I'm saying. So if you're gonna be a Christian, right? Your deity, your God should be black. That's why You know, white people have no problem with that, with God and their representative being black. I mean, being white. You see? I mean, scientifically, genetically, we were the first. Black were the first people on Earth, and everybody came from us. That's just the pure science of it, right? So they couldn't be first. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna worship, the
But
person
Delroy,
needs to be should be black.
Well, hold on,
you know that.
Elvis. Let me pass the Eris, and I'll pass
Okay,
it
okay,
to you.
okay.
Go
All
ahead,
right.
Eris. Mute yourself. Eris, mute yourself. Eris, mute yourself.
I think he has a delay.
All right, go ahead, Elvis.
All right. So Delroy, so in Christianity, I'm sure you know about it because your parents or your mother is a pastor. You know, Christ in his temporal form, in his human form, was a Jewish man from Israel. But that's only in his earthly form. That's not his real essence. So God in his true essence transcends race and anything that we can, conceptualize. So it's not something that we're supposed to be fixated on, that he's black or he's white or he's whatever race that we can think about. So the reality is God itself transcends race. He came into this earth in a temporal form through a Jewish woman, and as such, he had a specific skin color, whether you believe that the Jews were black or Middle Eastern, maybe brown, or
And
whatever the
no, I
case may
don't.
be.
Yeah, but
But it's
it,
not
it
it's
is.
not the crux of our religion.
Yeah, but it's not
I
a
pass
matter
the
of
mic.
if I believe if the Jews was black or white or whatever. Historically, you can't during that time, so-called Jesus time
Can you hear
or
me?
whatever, to live in that
You
part of
guys
the
can hear
world.
me?
Hold on, Eris. Somebody's talking. When he's done, I'll pass it to you.
Can I speak?
When he's done, I'll pass it to you, Eris.
Oh,
Yeah. So what I'm saying, and during that era, that time of the world, right? There was much black people in that side of the world. That's just pure historical science, right? So where they get this blonde hair, blue eye for, they had no people like that. You see what I'm saying? So 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 they have no problem with whoever painted this dude black, Michelangelo uncle or whatever what it was, when Constantine or whatever sat down in the fourth century and do what they did. All right, but 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 imagery plays a big difference in people's life. Is as simple as that, imagery, right? If you're sitting down watching a football game and all of a sudden you said, "Man, I would like a can of Coke," right? You know that they flash these commercials that only your subliminal mind could pick up. But all of a sudden you want to eat some chicken can of Coke. You can't see what you didn't see with your bare eyes because they flash it so fast. So imagery make a big difference. That's all I'm saying. White people should make their Jesus white, and black people should make their Jesus black. It's as simple as that.
But that contradicts what our Bible teaches us.
I have to pass the mic. Eris, are you there? Eris,
yeah, can you hear me?
we
Yeah.
hear you. Go ahead. Yes, we hear you.
Okay, cool. So what I was saying, like I called to answer the brother Elvis, okay? So Elvis asked what was the connection between Kenya and the Hebrews, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is that you guys already know that Swahili is the number one language spoken in Africa, right? The Swahili language. The Swahili language is the number one language spoken in Africa. Now, what most people don't know is that 60% of Swahili words are Arabic. All right. So the reason why this happened is because all the Swahili speakers were part of like the slavery that happened under the Arabs. All right. Because the Arabs enslaved black people for 14 centuries. All right. And as a matter of fact, like some of that slavery is still going on in some African countries, like in Mauritania. Mauritania, if I'm not mistaken. Dennis, you probably heard about that, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Right. So according to prophecy, right, you guys know that I mean the Hebrew Israelites, they go by prophecy, right? And based on prophecy, like only the Hebrews would undergo that, like the slavery that like all our people went through. And that's why Nathaniel understood the Kenyans to be part of the Hebrew family. And that's why he went there to talk to them. All right. So there are similar proofs also in West Africa. Okay. Like for instance, the Yoruba, no, the Ashanti people, from what I learned, the TI in the end of like the name, the TI means son of, all right? And apparently Ashan is like the ancestor, their ancestor, all right? So Ashanti, it means son of Ashan. And apparently, if you look among like the Judas,
Is that what the Asante Henny said?
I'm not sure, but all I know
Okay,
is that
yeah,
if
'cause
you
I
look,
mean, I've never heard that from Ashanti.
right, but if you look into like Judas
Hey,
lineage,
man, bro, I've never heard an Ashanti or the Asante Henny ever claim they came from Judah. We got to stop.
no, okay, but hear this, the Dynas. If you look into like Judas lineage in the Bible, you will find
We're
Ashan.
not going off the Bible, all right. That is a count that does not count as historic fact, all right. The
But
Asante
Ashan,
Hene, the king of the Ashanti, the Asante Hene, who knows the origins of his own people, has never ever said that they came from Judah or in the Bible. Stop it.
all right, but that don't change the fact that Ashan is still in the Bible.
But that's not a fact. That's your fact, which is false.
No, it's not mine even. I'm just telling you what I learned.
This is what I do. I would challenge you to go to Kumasi.
Yeah,
I
help
am
me.
right.
from Ghana.
Okay, go ahead, Afro Man.
Okay, so first thing, that is false. His etymology of the name Ashanti is completely false. Okay, it's untrue. The word Ashanti has a definite meaning, and it means because of war. It talks about why, how the various tribes grouped under the Ashanti to fight their enemies because of war. That is the meaning of the word Asante, not Ashanti, which is the British form of the name Asante. Okay, but a couple of things. Number one,
Well, Afro Man. So let me. Truth Teacher 2007 was next. So let me pass it to him
okay,
first, and I'll pass it to you. Go ahead, Truth Teacher
all right.
2007.
Hey, Dennis, thanks for acknowledging me.
No
I just
problem.
got like one question and then a couple of things to point out. First of all, Jesus, the historical person, if he did exist, and I think I don't see any reason why to not doubt there was an actual person who did exist. That person was a practicing Jew. He was a Torah reading, observant Jew. In Judaism, there are no images. So why are we sitting here arguing over what image Jesus should be when Jesus was a Jew who didn't believe in making representations in the first place? That's the first thing. Second of all, what goodies do we get even if Jesus was black? Like, how is that going to change our lives today?
Self. It makes you feel good. Symbology.
Yeah, in other words, it don't change your life. You might as well, you can get that good feeling, go smoke a blunt. You can feel good too. But to get all wrapped up and bent out of shape about this, first of all, if we're talking about spirituality, who and what we are is far greater than this physical vessel that we're living in right now. We just put this on to come here so that we can interact in the third dimensional universe. This is not our real selves or who we truly are or all that we really are. So why are we so fixated on this? The other thing is that, these people want to come in and look at these different African societies and rewrite their history for them. They had their own history. They have their own spiritual.
And that's my point. Like that, this is what does this is the point that really irks me, because we talk about, you know, white people and, you know, replacing our history and removing our history. Then you have this group who wants to come into Africa and rewrite people's history, aka the Ashanti means son of. It's like, come on.
So you're doing the exact same thing that the European colonizers did. They came in, don't ask you anything about who you are, what you're all about, but they're going to create a narrative and then try to feed it back to you and tell you who you are. So you're doing the same thing. It's the same white supremacist, colonialist, elitist attitude that you're coming into Africa with, and then you wonder why you're going to have problems with the people there. I mean, come on. It's like we need to step away from all of this. What color would you? What does it matter? The Asante have their own traditional spiritual beliefs and practices, which are still there. Has anybody ever stopped to go and ask them, well, what is your spiritual tradition? The Igbos have their spiritual traditions too. It's still there.
Okay,
Same thing for the Yorubas. Same thing for the Kenyans, the Kikuyu. They had their own before the missionaries came and forcibly, let me say that again, forcibly, and this is all documented historical fact.
But how about the Kenyans?
Own spiritual tradition.
How about the Swahili speakers, whose language is 60% Arabic?
What's that got to do with what's that have to do with being a Hebrew?
Okay, because like the same way that Haitian people speak broken French is the exact same way that the Swahili speakers are speaking broken Arabic.
The Hebrew people spoke Aramaic, not Arabic. Okay, the Hebrew people that were back in Canaan, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, that part of the world, they, before Arabic replaced the language, they were speaking Aramaic.
No, we're talking about the Swahili speakers.
I am talking
I don't understand your correlation of what point you're trying to prove.
The correlation is that 60% of Swahili, 60% of the words used are Arabic.
Can you prove to me that 60% of the words used in Swahili are Arabic?
Again, that is false.
Thank you. Y'all just be killing me. Man.
It is heavily influenced by Arabic, but I don't know if it's 60%.
It is not 60%.
It's based on.
There was a recent study done. There was a recent study done by linguists, okay, who basically debunked that claim. Arabic has about 20 to 30%.
Thing. I go to East Africa like twice a year, and I know the difference between Arabic and like Swahili. Like as far as now, there might be some words that are mixed, but to say 60%, that's just not true.
Okay, but
that is the old figure. 60% is the old figure. There was a study done by linguists, okay, and they concluded that Arabic contribution is about 20 to 30%. The remaining is Bantu. It is mainly Bantu. So that is a discredited claim.
Yeah, I think that's probably more accurate.
That doesn't matter. We're all sitting here speaking English. Does that mean we're the freaking Queen of England?
Okay, but at least Afro Men heard about the rumor that I'm bringing, right? At least Afro Men heard about it. He's just playing a game that I don't know.
You need to ask those people. You need to ask those people who they are. You need to go and ask them what their spiritual traditions were before colonization happened. They had their own traditions.
But brother, we have a Asante man on the platform in Lewis who knows his history and knows the meaning of his name.
Well, hold on. 1 second. True teacher, are you finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Well, today, okay. A little bit of a problem. I'm gonna try my best.
Hold on. It's Afro Man's turn, and I'll pass to you, Lewis. Go ahead, Afro Man.
Okay, thank you. So, a couple of things. When I watched the video that was played on YouTube, a couple of things that I noticed. The first thing is that their approach.
Listen, when it comes to
Lewis, it's not your turn. It's not your turn, Lewis. It's not your turn. Go ahead, Afro Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello there,
so,
guys.
Lewis, it's not your turn, Lewis. It's
Jesus,
Afro Man's
can
turn.
this guy mute his mic? Okay.
Go ahead,
So
go ahead, Afro Man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, so the first thing that I noticed was that the approach was wrong. Okay. Now, from what I gather,
Okay.
and this is only based on what I saw from the video, okay, these were brothers from the US. These were Black Americans, okay, who came to Kenya to preach the Israelite gospel, if you will, and they were talking about how Jesus was a black man, which is fine to me. I don't have an issue with that. But the issue is, you see, your approach. You should have Kenyans. You should have Kenyans who believe in what you believe. Okay, do the preaching. Let Kenyans preach to Kenyans. I am from Ghana, and I won't even go to Kenya, okay, and preach that. That is something that Kenyans should preach to Kenyans. Ghanaians preach to Ghanaians, because otherwise people will see you as trying to impose your foreign view on them. So that's mistake number one. Number two is that the ideology or the religious beliefs of the Israelites is all over the place. There's a group among them. They have several splinter groups. There's one group among them who have this funny clothing, looking like Lord of the Rings, Ivanhoe type, clothing, who are anti-African. They preach that Africans are, I think, Hamites or something different from African Americans, who are the Shemites. Then you have Beninese group, the African Israelites, okay? And then now you have the Israelite United Church, whatever, IUIC, okay, that was in Kenya. And what I don't understand is, for those, and they claim that they are descendants of Israelites, but every one of them, when they perform DNA tests, how come it comes back to the tribes in West Africa and Central Africa? How come it never goes beyond the borders of Africa? It always goes, it's the same Ashanti, Yoruba, Igbo, and then certain ethnic groups in Central Africa, Angola, and Senegambia, and all those places. It is never the DNA of the people in the Middle East. Okay. Thirdly, okay, is that if their claim is that they are the original Jews, the original Israelites, why is it that the Torah and the whole belief system is in the hands of white Jews? How did white Jews manage to supplant a whole belief system, bastardize the original believers who were black? And these believers don't even have a book anymore. They are going to the Jews, the white Jews, for them to interpret and tell them the meaning, the whole rituals and everything. Okay. Look, you don't have, there is no single African religion, okay, that has a bastardized people. The Yoruba have their traditions. Nobody has come to supplant the Yoruba beliefs and made those people some illegitimate believers in Yoruba religion. It is only when it comes to the Israelite beliefs that Africans are so happen to be bastards in this region. They have nothing. They are just, following without any leadership. Okay. So I find it very difficult to even believe in their ideology, because it's all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. Even the concept of Israelite, it's such a superfluous term. Nobody knows the meaning of it. Okay, nobody knows what it means, the origin of it. And if you look at even Black people, Africans, we predate all of these terminologies. Okay, so if you are so fixated by the term Israelites, the question is, what were you and we and us before the term even began? Before there was anything like Israel or Israelite, where were you? What were you? Because we know Black people predate that term. So why do we get so fixated about a term and a concept that is way younger than us, We are original people. We move right down to the beginning. So that's the point that I just don't understand.
All right, let me bring Lewis on. Oh, go ahead, Lewis. Luis. Can you hear me? Yeah, see you on that Obama phone, Lewis. Using your MTN minutes. He's not with us.
Yeah, hello there, guys. I'm having a bit of a problem with my phone, so if I do go off, just
yeah, we can't hear you. You're going in and out. Call in on another device. You got to call in on another device. We can't hear you.
Lewis is low on his internet data. He got to read.
Yeah, you know on his data. You got to call on another device, guys. Links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room.
Can I say something more, Dinus?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so one more thing that I learned was that, like, initially the Yorubas from West Africa used to be called Yuda, and apparently it is like the Dutch colonizers who mispronounced the Yuda. Yuda
That's
being
not
No.
That's not true. Stop it.
This
it.
guy is full of pseudo history.
Are you trolling? You gotta be trolling.
You're an African person. You can get in touch with a Yoruba person online and talk to them and tell them and ask them those questions. No, the word Yoruba is a household word that was given to the Yoruba people. They didn't even call themselves Yoruba.
One more thing. Sudan, initially, like the proper pronunciation of Sudan is Soyuda, land of Judah in ancient Hebrew. All right?
Oh man, this guy.
He's trolling. You're trolling.
I'm serious.
You're trolling, man. You're trolling.
Stuff that I learned.
Lewis, can you hear us?
Yeah. Hello there, Dinus.
Lewis, can you hear us?
Man.
Yeah, call back. Call back in.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You on your MT? Are you on your MTN phone?
Something wrong with my phone.
Get off that.
He's on his Vodafone.
Well, I'm gonna get a new one this weekend. I promise you.
Yeah,
you can hear me now, right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I caught the live not that long ago. I caught the brother talking about the Asante and so on. Listen, what we need to do one day, we need to get Bishop Nathaniel on the panel, Dinus, reach out to his boys. I'm sure they'll come. We get Dr. Cambone, and he can correct where they understand what Ashanti and all that means. There's two meanings, okay? There's one meaning, but two ways of spelling it. There's the Asante, which is A-S-N-T-E, which if I was referring to somebody as Asante, their own personal name, I can put that. There's also the other English name, which is Ashanti, which is the singer was using. That also refers to not only Ashanti itself, could be used to, for instance, an Ashanti town, but that doesn't mean us specifically, that just means the ghetto. But it can also refer to the Ashanti people themselves. So you've got to see the context in which the words be used, but the two words can refer to our kingdom. So there's meaning behind it. And when we pronounce our name, there's meaning behind the name. Asante, a horse shit. And it has other names as well. But biblically, when you look at it with the Bible and what you understand of the Bible is, it meets up perfectly. That's why one day you got to have a proper show and bring Bishop Nathaniel himself here, brother. He will come, right? And his other boys, get Dr. Obadeli Cambone. He doesn't agree with the Israelites, but he knows it.
But Louis,
on Ashanti, right? And he can spell all this out. What you have to remember is we have written history from a certain time.
No, but you got to realize Louis is an Israelite. Louis is a Hebrew Israelite.
Ganata, which is the old name, the old empire that Nkrumah.
Louis, can you hear us?
And his research is used to bring us the old name where we traveled from, which is in Senegal, northern part of Senegal. But before that, the history before that it's only known by oratory written. And when we looked at the Bible, right? Can you hear me?
No, Louis, you got to call on another device.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You got to delay, Louis.
You got to delay, Louis. You got to, you're Louis calling on another device. I just go ahead, Roosevelt. Hey, go ahead.
What's going on today?
Yeah, man. Listen, y'all can't be calling on your Obama phone. All right, stop calling on your Obama phones. All right.
It might be you, Dinus. You're the common denominator.
That's not me. Stop calling on your Obama phones. Roosevelt, you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Dinus?
Go ahead, Roosevelt.
You hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah. Calling on some real devices, y'all. Stop calling on these Obama phones, guys. Links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room.
Well, again, brothers, I was going to say, Lewis said he's a Hebrew Israelite. So, you know, there are a lot of Africans who, a lot of Africans who subscribe to these things also. It's not just exclusive to African Americans.
That was really not a lot.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't use the word a lot, but I mean, there are some Africans who do, you know, in certain communities, they follow it. So Lewis, as an Ashanti man, and you know, it's a sense of pride, right, to say that your people are part of the chosen people, and that you came from this, you know, chosen group of people, and you're in Africa, and you're a special group. And most Ashantis are not Hebrew Israelites, but for some reason, Lewis, who lived most of his life in Europe and in the UK, he subscribed to that idea. So if you ask him about Ashantis being Jews or Israelites, he's going to agree
guys,
with you.
What you guys miss?
He
What
believes
you
in
guys
that.
miss is that Lewis acknowledged that he was in the Bible.
That
I don't
you
care.
know, you gotta understand what I'm saying.
I don't care what Lewis says. What does the Ashanti Hene say? That's the final authority. Now, when he says it, then we can talk. But I mean, what Lewis says doesn't matter.
Especially if he's biased and he believes in the thing already.
What does Hene say? Like if the Une of Ife, do you know what the Une Ife is, Aris?
No. What is
it? That's the rule. Like that's considered like the ruling leader of the Yoruba, the traditional leader. You know, some people say it's him. Some people say it's the Alaafin of Oyo. If they come out and say that they the Hebrews, then I would take it. I still would believe it, but I'd be like, okay. But they've never said that. So that's why it's just, again, you guys are on a quest to rewrite history with no archaeological evidence or
many
proof.
Of their people know it. Many of their people practice traditions, like Hebrew traditions and stuff like that.
Hebrew traditions like what?
Like circumcision, you know? Like, because, I mean, it was proven that the continent of Africa, like the sub-Saharan part holds the most people that are circumcised on the whole planet.
How do you know? God damn, who's looking at circumcised penises and counting? Stop it, Eric. Stop it. Ain't nobody going around Africa counting circumcised penises. Stop it, man.
But that is, I would agree with him. It is more commonplace nowadays that, you know, we do circumcision when babies are born in West Africa, especially in the Christian community. I think some Muslims maybe they don't do it, but most Christians in West Africa.
Yeah, but that's a moot point.
That's a moot point. Ain't nobody walking around counting circumcised. Oh man, Paul. Let me go ahead.
Yeah, but not even that. Nobody is denying the closeness of the beliefs of Africa to the Middle East. We have always had that interaction with the people in the Middle East. In fact, some would argue that the original inhabitants of the Middle East are Africans. If you look at the two areas, Africa and the Middle East, they speak languages that are part of what is called the Afro-Asiatic language family that has 6 subgroups. Out of those 6 subgroups, 5 of them are squarely spoken in Africa. Only the Semitic branch are spoken both in Africa and in the Middle East. And on the basis of that, many of the scholars have concluded that the origin of the Afro-Asiatic language family is in Africa. So the similarities in their beliefs, their religion, their language, and all of that, it's not something that is in dispute. You will find more similarities beyond just a male circumcision.
No, I'm saying what he's saying. It might be like some people say, it probably took it took an uptake because it's more sanitary, like people say, or whatever the case may be. It may not be for religious reasons or for ancient, practices that is being, continued today. So I'm not saying that it's because they're Hebrew Israelites. I'm just saying that it's a fact that now it's more commonplace in West Africa that most males are circumcised. That's all. I was just agreeing with that.
But it's like, listen, you got those people in the Middle East. They're a small population. Look at the entire size of the African continent. So logic would dictate that those people got that tradition of circumcision by proxy to African societies, in particular the Egyptians. That's
Okay,
where
but
they got it.
Dynasty.
They didn't bring that tradition to Africa. It's the other way around.
Okay, but Dynasty.
If we believe in DNA history tells us that humanity itself migrated out of Africa into the Middle East. So if you have a tradition that is widespread across the African continent, that means that it was brought out of Africa into those other areas. And of all the areas in Asia, it's only the Jews that practice circumcision, or the Hebrew.
Yeah, that's
Right,
right.
which is
They
peculiar.
were under domination. They were colonized by the Egyptian state. They were part of the Egyptian empire several times for a very long time.
Okay,
So
but Dynasty, I'll ask you a question. I want to ask you a question, Dynasty.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you probably already know that this, like you see back then, when they wanted to create like the state of Israel, you probably know that they first wanted to create it in sub-Saharan Africa, right?
Well,
Not
no, okay,
not because
right,
they thought that that's the real
no,
place.
but that had nothing to do with them thinking that Uganda was Israel. They were just looking for a place for these Jews that just were fresh out of concentration camps, looking for a home for them, and they wanted to make it in Uganda originally, but they shifted to Israel.
Okay, so that's your understanding. Like you don't think there is a deeper understanding to it?
No.
Oh,
These are white people that were coming back onto the continent for the black people. You think they're coming back into their homeland? Come on, brother.
Because logically, if I wanted to create my state and I'm a Hebrew, I would be trying to go to Israel. I wouldn't be trying to bother sub-Saharan Africans.
No, because there was a conflict. That's because the British had control of Palestine, which is mostly, inhabited by Muslims who didn't get along with the Jews, and they foresaw that there was going to be problem, and they thought that it wouldn't be wise to bring them amongst those Palestinians who were Muslims and hated the Jews, like we see what's happening today.
Okay, so of all places, they didn't bother the Chinese. They didn't bother the Japanese.
Come on, brother.
Oh, bro. Go to China.
Arist. So are you saying that Trump's current suggestion? Okay, so Trump's current suggestion to have the people of Gaza move into Egypt and the neighboring places doesn't mean that those people are originally from Egypt. These are political moves, okay? When they chose Uganda, it had nothing to do that the Ugandan people are Jewish or Israelites. It was just a place that is selected as
Uganda was a British colony at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is this
it has nothing to do with any religious beliefs? No, it's facts that we're telling you. These are facts.
I don't even think the Hebrews. I don't even think the Hebrew Israelites. I don't know for sure if they consider Ugandans to be one of the lost tribes or one of the people of Israel.
Listen, Dinus, I'm bouncing out. Thank you very much for having me, and everybody, peace.
I'll be passing to Ola. Go ahead, Ola.
So, hello, thank you, Dennis, for allowing me your channel. And hi, Elvis.
What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
How you doing, guy? When I start listening to these people, how did the Hebrew Israelites, where did they come from? And how did they, I think some of this came from the United States, and they have something to do with the Atlantic slave trade. West Africans, mostly West Africans are not Hebrews. All West Africans are not Hebrews. These are gods, idol worshippers. If Hebrew ever exists, or whatever they call Hebrew, why did the ancestors way back 80-something, 60-something, why would they worship God? This goddess, wood, irons, sea, sun. These are...
No, Kadola is part of the prophecy that the Hebrew Israelites will be so lost in their ways that they will worship even stone and even wood. So if you say that, they can use that as a means to say, see, this is what the Bible prophesied.
Yeah, but this religion of a thing was never really there for these people. I grew up in, I I think my grandfather was born 80 something. I think my grandmother might be born in between 1903 or something like that. You know, why didn't my grandfather ever not known? You know, if I check what he was worshiping, check what the Ghanaians are worshiping, it's kind of like similar type of thing. Or check what's the Benin Republic was worshiping, almost similar type of gods were they worshiping.
Yeah, they're mostly animatist.
So they, you know, look, we circumcised. It's not because of we Jews of a thing. Most West Africans be circumcised. I've been circumcised. My son is being circumcised.
Okay, Condola, we get it.
So
You
what I'm
gotta tell.
saying, no. What I'm saying is this is not because of the Jewish. It never come like that. I think they do it for hate reasons. You know,
Yeah.
just for hate reasons. That's what they're doing it. It's not. They have nothing to do with Jewish religion or not religion, but they just do it just for their own hate reasons. You know, they will force you. You know,
And then and you know the thing about it is that in Judaism is one of the signs or one of the part of the covenants that they should be circumcised. So it's a big part of their identity. So I think that when we attach ourselves to that, we think that that makes us unique because we circumcise our our male children.
but those Africans that were circumcising their children have nothing about God. They never mentioned God about it at all. Not at all.
But even the Torah itself, their Bible, it's a carbon copy. It's a copycat. It's not even original.
So I think some of this craziness is coming from. That's what Africans will chase you out, because you come with things that they don't really understand. The one they're dealing with, the colonial master came with, whereby. Do you think the white people came to Africa? This whole Bible, no, they didn't came to spread Christianity at first. They just came to observe.
But Kadola, let's think about this, right? Let's be fair to our brothers, like Brother Nathaniel and his people. When the white people came to Africa and they brought religion, they didn't go to our shrines and stand outside and started preaching the Bible and we took rocks and started stoning them. They came usually and subjugated us with the mouth of the gun and
No,
they
not at
forced
once. So,
Christianity down a lot
not
of
at
these people's
once.
throat,
Not at
so to
once.
speak.
When the Irish came first, it's the Irish that came to the Irish and the Portuguese. The one that came to Africa first is that 40 something. They didn't come with
The
religion.
Irish.
Irish
The
came.
Irish never came.
You said the Irish? The Irish is under the British, so if
Hold
anything,
on.
it would have
Yeah,
been the
When I
Irish.
British.
mean,
You know?
hold on. When I mean the Christianity that they brought, you understand me? When they came, they just came to observe. They came to observe. It was during the slave trade that after the slave, during the slave trade, after the slave trade, that they really brought that Bible out, because now we have already been defeated already. Because some of us fought war with them, will be defeated. Now for us to be under them, they start preaching the queen, how great the queen is. Then how
But that's
great
what
the
I'm
Okay,
saying.
so
When white people were trying to convert us to Christianity
but
I
and they
disagree with
came
that
with
narrative.
missionaries, we didn't stone them. That's the
I
point that I'm
disagree
making.
with that
because that's
narrative.
when we already been defeated.
That
You understand
historical
me?
context is wrong, sir. I disagree with that
that's
narrative.
wrong. Yeah, it's a wrong context. First
That's
of all,
when we
okay,
already been
the
defeated. You
Portuguese were
understand
the
me?
first to come. No, the Portuguese were the first to come, and the Portuguese came to Africa because the Catholic Church, the Pope, granted them Africa, and they granted Spain the New World. That is the Americas. Okay.
They never granted nobody nothing. They just came. The
It's
Pope
No,
called
just
he's
came.
he's,
it's called
he's
the
right.
This
paper
is
He's
a
pope.
right,
It's
fact.
called the
Kadola.
paper
This is
pope.
a
Isabella
fact.
and
Look,
This
Ferdinand.
is a fact. It's called the
look. I'm
Asiento
from
Agreement.
the
Go
Benin
and read
Kingdom.
on it.
I'm from the Benin Kingdom
If
that
you
the Portuguese came to. The Benin Kingdom.
listen,
When they
if you
It
don't
came,
was not the
know us,
Portuguese that came to
hold
Benin, it
on.
was the
When the
it's
Dutch.
called
Portuguese came to Benin, they were looking for something. Only God know what they were looking for. The Abba of Benin fought no war with them. They came for business. They were looking for something. Then
no one has
the
said a fourth
Portuguese,
war.
the Portuguese now kind of like do supply weapons for the ones that were very friendly to them. That they will send some of these kings send their children to go and learn Portuguese language. Like the Upper Benin did it. You understand me?
Man, I think
That's
you are
why.
putting all this thing out of context.
Hold on. That's why the Upper Benin king,
This
that's why
is
the Upper Benin child was
ahistorical
Portuguese.
stories.
You understand me? The
This is
Upper Benin was
ahistorical.
able to speak Portuguese. That's what most of our broken language come also with Portuguese also. You understand me?
Look at, before the Portuguese could come into Africa, into the interior of Africa, we fought about a 50-year war that the Africans won. It was when the
Africa never won.
Portuguese.
The Africa never fought the Portuguese. They didn't win nothing.
The
We
Portuguese
should not
came into.
increase
Let
nothing.
me
The
finish now.
Portuguese never fought no war with the
The
Africans.
Portuguese came into Africa as traders. Before
They didn't
that,
fought no war with them. They didn't fought no war with them. The Portuguese
can direct you to a book that you can go and read.
The Portuguese, it was the British that the weapons started coming with war. The Portuguese came as friends, and they could use come and learn my language.
Friends.
Then they start to play weapons. They never came as enemy to fight a war with in Africa at all. The Igbo,
Portuguese came as friends.
is the Igbos that is the British. Is the British that the business the Igbo people are doing today is the British that taught them how to do business. The Igbos are farmers. What pure farmers? Nothing like what the Igbos never fought no war with nobody. You understand me? Rather, they were perpetrators of the slave trade. They were busy dealing with slave trade. All Gulf of Guinea was being controlled by the Igbos. All the coastal Jaja for Pobo. If you go to Calabar today, they're all confused there. Calabarians, all of them confused there because of slave trade. Nothing like war, nothing like anything. It was the British that actually come with the weapons, that the weapons were just being loose because the British came with force.
See, you are talking about local history. We are talking about global African history.
The Africa never
you know what I'm saying? You are only narrating yours and your context to Benin and Edo and Nigeria alone. When the Portuguese
let's not fight each other. We have different perspectives.
You know what I'm saying? They came through Senegal.
Nothing.
Listen now. You are talking about you are in the interior of Africa. Before the Portuguese came into the interior of Africa, they were there in Senegal.
No, we lost them. Guys, let me bring on Roosevelt. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Roosevelt.
Hello?
Hey, it's real good to be back in the States. Good to see you, Dinah, still doing your thing. I just want to say, I lived in Kenya for a year. I lived in Ghana for 2 years before that. And the confusion that the colonizers mingled with people, melanated people from all over the earth, have continued to perpetuate, keeps us doing the same thing that we've done for centuries. We're fighting each other, and we're not learning how to do what they do. They couldn't be more in contention with one another than Crips and Bloods on the street. But they learned how to maneuver around one another, to give one another the poker face, and in some cases to pretend like they agree with one another, to keep their hold on the earth. And while they're doing that and keeping us disengaged from unity with one another and disenfranchised from all of our resources, our talents, our gifts, our ability. I mean, you just look at this page, Brother Dynast, what he's doing. I would have never gone into Kenya trying to tell them about white Jesus, because contrary to everything that everybody is arguing about, that white Jesus thing is something that you don't touch, even with people in America. I don't touch white Jesus with my own mama. But if you are an Israelite, and no one knows whether or not you're an Israelite other than you, you shouldn't try to prove it to people, and you shouldn't go over in lands where people have had to deal with manipulation, aggression. I don't care what your reason. You can go over into Kenya and you can, by your statements, make those people feel like you don't even respect them as a man. And when you do that to a brother, he's not going to hear you. Nothing you're saying is going to connect to anything friendly or familiar, family to him. And you immediately make him your enemy. Now, it's going to pan out who we are. African Americans, Ghanaians, Kenyans, Nigerians, Ugandans. It's going to pan out who we are. And I think brothers should take this to another level. And that level is, if you discovered that you were an Israelite through your diligent study of prophecy, geography, history, and religion, then you should let the discovery and the ability connected to you knowing your true heritage pan out like you heard about it, the origin of it. And what was the origin of it? Prophecy. No one can deal with prophecy. And this is the last point I want to make, Dinus. I really appreciate you, brother. People don't tackle this thing from the standpoint that you are coming from. You don't agree with the whole Israelite movement, teaching, revelation, discovery, but I like the way you've handled it. And I really appreciate you for that.
Oh, thank you.
And this is what I say about prophecy. Prophecy does not need anyone propping it up, supporting it, legitimizing it, or anything. Prophecy will reveal itself in the actions and the motions of the men who have been colonizing the whole world and the people who have been prophesied to rise up against them. And when those people finally rise up against them, their rule will be over. That is what we're watching happening. And it is good for us to give our views and to really exhaust whatever we are convicted about. But the one thing we need to remember and never forget, whether on the continent or in this land that I've returned to, we are the original people of the earth with the destiny to do something that we have never seen in our lifetime. Live together, not with necessarily the same beliefs, but live together, owning the world that we were created to own. And that's why there's such a struggle, even among us. My logo for my clothing company, because I grew up in Watts, it's the Crips and the Bloods behind a basketball. Because we are the, not just original people of the earth, we are the original people of the universe, of the heavens. And this is bigger than us. This is bigger than our opinions. And we only got one thing. This is a responsibility. And I say this as an elder among you brothers. We better find a way to be down for one another, because what is coming, their own people are being victimized by it. But what is coming is against us and our world rule. And there is nobody that can deny that. that are in the upper echelon of control. Not even them. Because contrary
That is correct.
to what a lot of people think, they know who we are. Thanks, Dynast.
Oh, you're welcome.
Much love, bro.
Yes, sir.
Network.
Louis,
Hello there,
you there?
Dynast. Yeah, sorry, it was my mobile network's rubbish. I'll speak to my house network. It's a lot more solid.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, good show as usual. But honestly, I'm in England, and I don't know, your timing of broadcasting is really messing us up here in England, Dennis. I didn't expect you to be on this time.
Yeah, it was kind of just, I decided just to roll this time.
Okay, all right, no worries. I love what the elder has just said. Okay, what will be will be. Prophecy has already been written. Okay, we are the original people. We know that some of our people don't know it. I'm just sitting back nicely, doing my bit and watching. But I thought that other people, we know what they're about. I'm not surprised. I'm just waiting for swing to play out because the book has already been written. Christ has already died. So we just got to watch and see. Okay, we can't step ahead of him and so on. But in regards to where Bishop Nathaniel is coming from, I think that the time has come. I know you don't agree with it. Invite the man into the studio. Let him do his thing. You're going to get a lot of views. Okay, let's caution him. Let's check him out. This is what he's about. I'm following him and his people anyway. I follow the law. I've loved the Bible for years now. I understand it more. Okay, you can't force anybody to come and join the beliefs of the Lord. No man could come to God unless God first draws him. So at the end of the day, I think the time has come, Dennis. Don't be afraid. Invite the man in the studio. Get his prophet in the studio. Yeah. Not in the studio, but on your show. Get other people who've got contradictory views, and let's find out what the man's saying. Because I've checked and double checked, and the man 99%, he's right. I don't follow no man, but his organization is right. Now, in regards to
what is he right about?
Right. Okay. Well, we will get into it. He's right. He's identified most of the people that are clearly in the Bible who are us. He's definitely right on that. Okay. Right. Yeah. No. Listen.
Speak clearly, Louis. Speak clearly.
Right. I'll tell you why. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we hear you. Like what people are us? Who?
Right. The point I was making, because obviously I dropped off and came back in. For instance, the example of the Ashanti. Okay. Like as I was saying, there's two ways to spell Ashanti: Asnte, Ashanti, or the other bastardized word, which is Ashanti. Okay, you can use that. Now the Ashanti with the SH, that often means, you've got two meanings. It means ghetto in any country, okay, mainly in black countries, but it can also mean the Ashanti kingdom itself. So you can spell it either way. None of it is wrong. Now, the meaning of the word,
that is
as
not
you know,
true, Louis.
Come on, do you mean that is
you are
Ghanaian? Please, Oga.
I'm not Oga. I'm a Ghanaian.
What is that? What is that Nigerian saying? You're Ghanaian man.
Can you what to do?
Yes, small. Not too much.
Where are you from in Ghana?
I'm from the north. I'm from Paga.
You're from Paga. Okay. So you're not an Ashanti man himself, but you know the history.
I know the history. And you know very well that
hang on.
He's your compatriot, Louis.
Anglicized.
No, hang on. If you're from the north, you're gonna know the history of the Ashanti, but not like an Ashanti man. Okay,
go ahead.
Hang on. My father was the Akomuhin in Jabin. Okay, we are the core and the marine of the Ashanti kingdom. The picture you see down there, all the guys in the gun, those are the people. My dad commanded those people. During 8 wars, we only lost one of them. So hear me out. I was brought up in a palace with the bottom everything. So I know what I'm talking about. And I got my cousins who are chiefs. I'm due to be a chief on my mom's side of the family. But my dad's side, I can't inherit that. But I was taken to my dad's place as a young man to learn the chieftaincy. Okay? I don't want to take the throne, but I can do that. Right? I was a young man. I was selected.
Okay, Louis. You're blustering now.
I'm explaining. Listen. The name of the Ashanti means the place of burning. That means the hot ass shit. That means it's hot there. It's almost like an African American saying, "Hey, you're making a block hot." That's how we black people speak. It's the characteristic of the people.
So it doesn't mean because of war we came together?
I'm explaining what the word means. The Ashanti means or honor shit, that means they are fighters. That's what it means. Okay? And the meaning of the word in the Bible that Bishop Nathaniel pulled out, the explanation was perfect and spot on. So I know these researchers have done their research. They're not stupid. Their organization, whether you like it or
Well,
not.
that's not what it means in the Bible.
Hang on. It does mean that's exactly what it means in the Bible. If you get a Bible
No.
dictionary and you look at
a Bible dictionary.
No,
hang on.
that's not what it means.
Hello. Can I explain something? I live in England. You guys don't.
Ashanti is talking about a place in Judah where a lot of dark people live. So you can draw the correlation, but it doesn't mean
the
people who are fighters.
Who established your schools in America had established schools in England years before they came over. Okay? Our people were sent to learn there, and I'm here right now. Okay, so I'm not some jack in the boy gets walked out and gets started talking. No. They've got a whole block, whole road, buildings dedicated to the study of the Bible at Cambridge University and Oxford University. That's why when you get the Bible to this day, they were the one authorized to print it in the English language. Okay, so when people come out and they talk,
Can I ask you one question?
Just because they are black people.
Lewis, you gotta let other people engage you, brother. You can't just rickroll the conversation.
Right. So listen, we have oral history and written down history. Written down history. Hang on a minute. Hang on. No, Lewis. You don't want me to prove. You see, that's why you gotta get Bishop McConnell because they're black.
So Lewis, so you're saying that the white man is authorized to write the Bible of the black Hebrew?
No, the white man did not write the Bible. Okay, he's not capable of writing the Bible. Hear me out. Hang on. The Bible was interpreted into different languages. Okay, the white man in England allowed it to be interpreted from the 16th century. The facts are there. It's nothing hidden. But what the problem you've got when you explain to black people, you've got Islamists who don't want to hear about Christianity, who always come in trying to throw bits. And then you've got the traditionalists, right? A bit like you, Dennis, I'm not having a go, who like to throw sticks at it and so on and so forth. Listen, I'm a very practical person. If I drop this and it goes down, hang on. If I drop this and it goes down, it's because there's gravity. We've proven that it's factual. Nobody has been able to disapprove the Bible geographically.
Let me ask you a simple question.
Hang on.
Man. Let me ask you a simple question.
Because you guys don't want me to really explain.
You don't have a limited time. Everybody have a limited time.
I gotta pass Lewis. We'll come back to you.
Hear me out. Okay, let me just finish with this. Let me just finish with this.
You got 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
White Jesus is there messing up our mind, whether you like it or not. It ain't going nowhere. So let's deal with it. I'm ready to listen to Bishop Nathaniel, and I'll rest my case.
All right, go ahead, Jay. Jay's next. Go ahead, Jay. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, so like there's been a whole explosion, man. I don't know about y'all, but like, you know, from the FBA shit to like, you know, what y'all are talking about right now, there's like a whole explosion on like Black history. I don't know if y'all remember. I mean, I'm in my early 30s. Do y'all remember it being like this, like even like 5-10 years ago?
Hey, Jay, I'm gonna tell you what happened. So, and I'm not surprised. So, in 2011, so me personally, my introduction to the conscious community was through Nuwapu. I was a Nuwabian. So I
and beware now, Dinus, because you know conscious. Any term you use can be misinterpreted against you.
Jay, you gotta let me finish. So
no doubt,
I was a Nuwabian. So you know I would interact with back to Africa, pro-blacks, African, the Hebrew Israelites, the Moors. I would react with everybody.
Malachi York.
Correct. Yes, Malachi York. So with around in 2011, when I first went to Africa, I remember when I was planning to go to Africa, I remember telling all my Black friends who were Democrats and everybody in the conscious community. And again, there was a large segment who were still pro-Black, rocking the red, black, and green. The African medallions. I remember telling them, and I wish I would have saved the responses. I mean, they thought people like Lewis was literally swinging from trees, and this is coming from the pro-blacks. I'm dead serious. I am dead serious. They literally thought it was just mud huts. How you'll get there? Oh, they got airplanes that go there. Oh man, mosquitoes, like all the stereotypes, like all the pro-blacks, back to Africa, they really believed it. Then in 2016, I voted for Trump when he made the Africa shithole countries comment, and they're like, "Yeah, Trump's a racist." I'm like, "You motherfuckers, you agree with him? Y'all was saying the same shit when I went in 2011. Y'all was saying the same shit that Africa's a dump and shithole, undeveloped, little kids, AK-47s, like all the stereotypes. I mean, y'all agree with him." And again, these are the pro-black, the African medallions, black and red, black and green. So, Jay, a lot of the people who are FBA and ADOS and the Hebrews and the Native Americans, they all started off as red, black, and green. But they switched to this. But there's always been like this seed that they didn't like Africa. And it was just a front or it was just for show. It was more in defiance. They didn't have love for Africa. It was more directed towards hate or not liking white people.
I also sense a little bit of resentment there. I mean, you've heard of like, y'all Africans coming over here and, reaping the benefits for our ancestors.
They always felt like that. And again, that's even coming from the black liberals and the black Democrats that swear that they hate Donald Trump about his stance against immigration, but they've been saying the same shit for years.
Now, I try to be objective in my thoughts, right? So, if there's a subset of black people that want to, quote unquote, and this is another term I was introduced to, have an ethnogenesis, carve out their own kind of pathway in terms of their own, let's say, there's a you got East Africa, you got West Africa, then you got, the blacks in the Americas, and they want to carve that out for themselves. That's fine. And but my thing is, whenever you have these discussions on Black history, be it from a spiritual or even, to what you were just talking about right now, Dinus, it's always the tone of conversation is always antagonistic. Now, look, y'all, I'm not saying we got to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and like give each other hugs while we talking about this shit. But like the tone of the conversation's got to be a little bit more different towards one more towards understanding as opposed to, oh, no, you don't got it. It's like this. It's like this. Like my dude, we're trying to put the pieces together, right? We don't have a whole documentation of this shit, man. So that's all. Maybe it's a little bit of pie in the sky, lamenting on the situation, but I just feel like the tone of the conversation's got to change. That's it.
If I can just say though, brother,
you got 30 seconds, Louis. I got past the bread.
If I can just say, this is the biggest challenge and one of the hurdles that we as black people have to deal with. Okay, so you're gonna get that. You're gonna get this, especially from those who wants to come in and shove in the Islam, say no, and that. You're gonna get that. So let's be prepared for that, because this is what white man has used to keep us back. If the key's been landlocked, let's open it. Let's see the door. If it's rubbish, we're gonna know.
All right, let me pass it. Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon. Let me Brandon.
I'm trying not to be on the Metro PCS today. How's
it sound? You sound good, Brandon. You sound good.
Okay, I reset everything and did all that. Dinus, I agree with you to a certain extent. But what I really believe it is with black people, why it seems like the sentiments regarding Africa for black Americans have switched, is the same reason black people turn on anything they once loved. Once you are put in a position to do something about your problems, once you have acquired the resources needed to do something that you've been telling people you wanted to do for centuries, well, you got to find a way to hate it or discredit that thing so you don't have to do anything about what you've been complaining about. So once black people got into a position where they could actually go back to Africa, once black people got in a position where they could start the process of carving out a space for us that's free of racism, we had to find another boogeyman. So now it's slowly, gradually. So we don't want to be a part of America because it's racist. Now we don't want to be a part of Africa because of xenophobia. They don't like us because we not from there, right?
I don't pronounce the argument, brother.
Dang, Lewis, you just talked. Listen, so now we have black people are the experts in the world at finding a problem with everything, so we never have to do anything. Here's the reality. Black people love America. We love white people. We love being in close proximity to them. We would rather be in close proximity to the KKK than be in close proximity to other African people, because if we're around other African people, we don't have the race card. We don't have the I couldn't do XYZ because I'm black. We hate African people coming to America because they are also black, yet per capita, they are able to achieve higher achievement than we are. Not because we are unable to, but because we simply don't want to. When we don't want to accept that, pushing our kids into sports and entertainment did not have the desired effect that we thought it would have. And so what we do is say, well, they have an unfair advantage. And if you look at black people in America, Dynas, we can argue how every other group has some type of advantage over black people that allows them to do whatever they want to do, while simultaneously celebrating historical advancement from African American people. We have a black president. The first time there was a president in America that was not white, it was a black man, right? We somehow are still telling ourselves there's no way a black person can. Soon as Barack Obama became president, we had to find another thing that inhibits us from getting there. Oh, because he's light skinned. So black people are going to continue to play this game, this peekaboo game of when it's kind of like we call it musical chairs. We're going to just keep moving the goalposts no matter what. So to continuously argue with black people, and even to continuously argue the Bible, anybody getting up in front of black people saying that they know where the Bible came from and the white man didn't write the Bible, that person is just lying to you, because Lewis said white man didn't write the Bible, but then out of the other side of his mouth admits that the white man was in control over who could translate the Bible. Well, even if you didn't write it, if you're in control of when and where it could get translated, you're in control of it.
You're all over the shop, my friend.
Listen.
You're all over the shop.
So listen. So how can you, whether or not you want to accept it, white people, Champollion them back in the 1500s, they determined what the Bible was going to say, what parts
they didn't. Moses wrote. Moses was a prophet who wrote the Bible. Paul was a prophet who wrote the Bible. What the hell is that going to do with Champollion?
Access.
Moses never existed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another subject. But according to the Bible, it was written by the holy men of old as they were inspired. They were not bloody Champollion. So why are you coming and throwing the mockers at the feet? You're Jehovah's Witness. You love white Jesus. You're Jehovah's Witness. You can't live without the white man. That's why you go to Kenya. You love white man. So please, Bishop Nathaniel has been able to find the missing link in terms of white Jesus. And we're going to get rid of white Jesus. When I get back down there, them bloody Catholics, the Roman Catholics, we're going to get rid of all them idiots. We don't want no more white Jesus.
You're talking like you're this all-powerful person. You're going to get rid of
I'm an Ashanti. Blame their body. I'm an Ashanti. We're hot. I'm an Ashanti. I don't want no Northerner from Ghana come and tell me about my people because you're Islamic. Don't come and push the rubbish. Don't push white Jesus.
Now you're being a religious bigot, Lewis. Don't do
that. We don't want to hear Jehovah's Witnesses. Roman Catholic white Jesus, you ain't going to work. I'm telling you now. When I get back, they're going. Whether you like it or not. We want to live in a world without the white man. There's no good white man.
Louis Farrakhan.
Will you come to the north of Ghana?
Listen, Louis Farrakhan couldn't say black people. Martin Luther King couldn't say black people.
Exactly. This message is going to save black people. This message, Black Jesus is gonna save black people. Not white
Louis,
Jesus.
let him speak, brother.
He's been speaking and just gibbering on.
I mean, Malcolm X couldn't.
He's my brother. I love this brother, but come on. No white Jesus. We're not gonna live in a listen, we don't care about the white man no more.
Listen, bro.
Okay?
Out of respect, you gotta let other people speak. If you think a 50-year-old bus driver from the UK is gonna have all the
I'm 55. I'm 55.
Brandon, let's not go there, man. Let's not go there.
I get good money driving the bus. When I go back to Ghana, I could be my king again.
Louis, somebody said you gotta be careful. You're gonna cover up a crumpet. So you know.
No, I'm an Ashanti. I'm an Ashanti. All right? We're from the place is hot. All that shit is burning hot. We are hot people. So if you can't deal with that, bro,
his knowledge of the Bible is very elementary. So he's never really studied the Bible in depth. So he
I know it 10 times better than you. That's why you won't bring
it. Let Brady talk. Let Brady talk. Go ahead, Brady.
I ain't been talking here, making no point, bro. Come on,
man. If you
he's
understand
protecting the white man, Brandon is protecting the white man.
Dinus, anybody who understands the Bible knows that the Bible literally tells you that it's an allegorical.
Hey, Brandon, you went down. We can't hear you. You went down.
Yeah, you get your volume up, bro.
Yeah, I moved it from my face. It should be back now.
Pause.
Anybody who reads the Bible can tell you the Bible is an allegorical book, right?
No, it ain't.
Yes, it is. It says that literally in the Bible. Literally says that.
Let's not debate that. That is a futile debate.
The point I'm telling you is there's never been any factual evidence produced of anything that has happened in the Bible. None. Zero.
You're a joker, bro. You're a joker.
Tell us one thing. Tell us one thing, Louis. Tell us one thing.
Geography, the historical records from the Greeks themselves and the Romans. Okay? Everything the Bible talks about, how can be traced. The people, where they are, so on and so forth. Egypt was first known about because of the Bible. So what the hell are you talking about? If you don't want to believe it, don't believe it. But we ain't not going to listen to white Jesus. We don't care if it's green, blue, or white. We are not accepting white man of our head. You may worship Donald Trump, but we ain't going to do that no more. That's the damage that's been done to my people, and we're going to undo it. Bishop Nathaniel and his boys got the cure. The Bible is the cure, and we're going to use it to get rid of white Jesus.
Louis, your Ashanti is showing. Your Ashanti is showing. Tuck it back in, brother. Tuck it back in.
White people all the time.
Louis,
he doesn't believe you can live in a world without white people.
Now
it's still white Jesus. And it's what Bishop Nathaniel is bringing. That's what we're going to preach. It's too late anyway. The word is out. The guys are preaching on the streets in Accra, Kenya, all over. It's too late. The word is out there, bro.
This is why the black man is not respected, because the black man think he's going to talk so fast and loud that it's going to make.
I do. I'm an Ashanti. I come from the place of the burning.
Gosh, Louis, come on. Ashanti is not the end of be all. Being an Ashanti don't mean you're a warrior. Not all Ashantis are warriors.
Anybody can write about something retroactive.
Okay, you write a book like that then. Go ahead. You write a book like that. Let's see. Your Watchtower couldn't do it. The Watchtower couldn't do it.
Scientists, can you let me make
Black Jesus all the way?
Okay, Lou. Brandon got to finish, because we're interrupting. Go ahead, Brandon.
Listen,
he's gonna say nothing.
Scientists can write a book about dinosaurs. They never lived with dinosaurs, but they can look for archaeological evidence, which is physical, bones, all that, and say
that's why Egypt exists. That's why Egypt exists. All the places talked about exist. What more proof you got?
Louis, you gotta mute him, Dinus. At this point, you gotta mute him.
Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
The man don't even got self-control, but want to make you think he knows something. Listen, we can write
existed before the Bible.
We can write about dinosaurs, right? The Romans and Greeks can write about anything in the past, but guess what? If you
look at the Bible, the Bible,
no, I got to remove. I'm let you show in the back, Luz. I'm bringing you on short. I'm trying to hear Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
If you read the book of Luke, in the first verse of the first chapter, it tells you Luke never saw Jesus, never met Jesus. He is writing an account based on what he heard, which is what most of the Bible is. It's hearsay, right? These people didn't really see this stuff, right? Paul never met Jesus, but he writes about Jesus. All one needs to do is read the Bible and understand that the book is primarily hearsay. Now, If you want to argue that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, that's fine. But even what Moses wrote about the Bible was 2,000 years after it happened. Moses wrote the book of Genesis, but Moses wasn't in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. So how do we know that Moses just wasn't like, this is a cool story, I'm going to write it, even though we know Moses never existed? So if Moses never existed, who wrote it, right? Dynasty, there's not enough proof. The Bible says that the Israelites, the Hebrews, were burying their dead in tombs like the Egyptians, right? Where's the tomb of David? Where's the tomb of Solomon?
None of it exists.
Where's the tomb of Moses? Where's the tomb of Samuel? Where's the tomb of all these great men who lived in the Bible? You can't find it. Where's the ark? The Noah's Ark? Where's the Ark of the Covenant? Where's any archaeological evidence that any of this stuff ever happened? Where are the altars that Solomon built to false gods? Where's the altars that Abraham built? Where are the altars that were? It's just bullcrap, Dynasty. We have evidence that there were Canaanites who lived. They are the Lebanese people. And we have the archaeological evidence to support that. But none of the mythology, this is mythology, just like we can't find evidence that Zeus or Hades or Hercules ever existed. This is mythology. And the black man has dedicated and offered up his mind as a sacrifice to the mythology of non-black people. And so that's why he's confused. That's why Lewis is rambling, why he should be laying down, sleeping, getting ready to go drive that bus in the morning. We're so lost.
Man, stop attacking them, man. Come on, brother.
We're trying to grasp at straws to make sense of the things we don't understand. People have done that for centuries. Your best bet is to go with the scientific research, because at least there's more evidence of that than what we're believing in. Now, do I believe we have a creator? Yes. Some things are unexplainable, but do I believe that a group of Jewish people have a monopoly on the understanding of creation? Hell no. Why? How could they? They know less than we know, but we've offered our minds up to them, and we've started doing identity appropriation, right? So that we can feel empowered. And that's not the way to find true empowerment. I'm not naming my son Nebuchadnezzar so I could feel strong.
Nobody named their kid Nebuchadnezzar, Brandon. It's not a good biblical name. But I think Roosevelt wanted to say something, Dinus.
Yeah, go ahead, Roosevelt. And I'm gonna bring Lewis back on. But go ahead, Roosevelt. You gotta unmute yourself, Roosevelt.
I think the thing that we need to be careful about is making general statements about isolated facts. Notice what I said, general statements about isolated facts. It is a fact that so-called white men wrote the Bible, but it's not truth that nothing in the Bible is legitimate, real, and has no current physical evidence that those stories, along with allegories, are true. The Bible is like any other book that you read about history. And certainly it is distinguished because it gives a shadowy synopsis of a creator. But everyone on this panel is more credible than the Bible, because you are the living example of what that Bible expressed would come into being and generate throughout the centuries while other men have died. So when we look at the Bible, we have to look at it like we look at anything else on the outside of us. It can give reference to the true. The true is you. And the reason why we fight so much and we struggle so much is because the true you is evolving, just like the true other man is evolving. Now, the thing I'll agree with you on, Brandon, good to hear you, good to see you. Well, I don't see you, but good to hear you. The thing I will agree with you on is that you cannot just throw your mind into what is written in this book, because the book doesn't even encourage you to do that. The book encourages you to find on the inside of yourself your purpose for living, what you should be doing from day to day, and how to control the space around you. And that can't be found in a book, but it also can't be found by listening to science and
Can you give
archaeology.
us one example? Can
I'm
you
sorry,
give us one example of something archaeologically proven from the Bible? Because I would be interested to know that.
The very first thing, there was a pronunciation that, and this is very simple. We complicate things too much. The very first thing said in the Bible about man was that when he died.
Yo, who's snoring? Who's snoring?
Who's sleeping? Who's sleeping on the mic?
That's you, Elvis. Huh? What is
I'm
that?
sorry. What was that?
That's Elvis. His ass.
I muted him. Go ahead, Roosevelt.
Oh, okay. The very first thing recorded in the Bible about man from a judgmental standard, no one has been able to get around this, is that you came from dust, and when you die, you'll return to dust. And this is real simple. We shouldn't complicate this at all. Every man that you see dies goes in the ground. And if you wait long enough, he will deteriorate. His flesh will corrode, and his bones will be there. And if you wait long enough, the bones will begin to corrode. We were created with an eternal energy in us. So when this flesh decays, that energy still exists. And it's so strong, it can still be in the body. But the simple statement made in the book of Genesis, while the earth remains, so also shall remain seed time and harvest. It's all around us.
Okay, can I say something?
Sure.
Let me say this. Okay. The first thing you have to realize is that the person who wrote the book of Genesis lived 2,000 years after the events in Genesis occurred.
You preach it to the choir. You preach it to the choir saying that. But Brandon, I'm not arguing.
Let me make my point. I'm not arguing with you. What I'm saying is Moses, according to the Bible, was trained in all the ways of the Egyptians. The Bible says that. The Egyptians were the foremost science. Wait a minute. The Egyptians were the foremost scientists of their time. So they had an understanding of science. On top of that, they preserved bodies. They preserved bodies. So they preserved bodies in a way that prevented them from turning back to dust. So it is clear they knew what they had to do to prevent a certain thing from happening. So could it have very well been that the people, could it very well have been that the people who wrote that verse way after these events were said to have happened had an understanding of the science of decay, how humans break down and they go back to dust, and then they wrote that retroactively? Because anybody observing a dead body can see that the body disintegrates and goes back into dust. That's not some major revelation. That's an observation that anyone can make.
Let me answer that. And then if you have something else to elaborate beyond that, you can. That could be. But that's no different than you saying something that you heard of, and someone coming to you and saying, well, you're not the originator of that. You're not the first one that said that. You probably just saw it. And here's the point I'm making as you ask me that question. If you don't know for sure that was divinely inspired, whether Moses, Tyrone, or Tiberius wrote it, who cares? With the backdrop that I gave you, the Bible is a book of writings. It is manipulated. Did Caucasian men write the Bible? Of course they did. It's in English. Of course they did. They have been making billions of dollars with it through the centuries. But you cannot negate, and you must be giving them credit for something that they shouldn't get credit for it. I don't care if they wrote the Bible or not. What is unfolding comes from the writings of the Emerald Tablets, of the different books in the Apocrypha, which they manipulated. All of the sciences.
I don't get what's unfolding now that hasn't always been unfolding throughout history. When the Israelites were roaming around the desert.
What unfolds throughout history is what is unfolding now. And it's not the issue that it has happened before. The issue is it happens and men can't do anything about it. See, I agree with you. They had a pandemic. Pandemics which they create.
Brano, can I chop in? Because Brano, I don't understand how can you as a black person, you don't know nothing about the Bible. When the white man met you, you don't know nothing about Jesus Christ. You never heard about Jesus Christ in your life before. You don't know nothing about Paul. Said Paul to the white man came to Africa. Possibility meet some of your ancestors. How is it that it's like the Chinese have to explain the Bible, whereby they worship some of these their Buddhas and everything. Your ancestors are God's worshippers or good worshippers. Whatever that I saw Louis can say is Jewish. Jewish Kenny? Jewish what?
To hear me?
Yeah.
You were never doesn't know nothing about Jesus Christ until the white man introduced Jesus Christ to you. Then you now say, Amen. There never is said. Okay, let's say the black Africans that took to the United States. Did the black Africans that took to the United States ever talk about Jesus Christ? Is that the big shit? Did they ever talk about Jesus Christ? Did they ever talk about Jesus Christ on that plantation?
Everything we will ever know about Jesus Christ came from white people. So we will never have to understand.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Can I get my time to speak? Because I was shut off.
No, that's not true.
But guys, let Ola finish, and I gotta pass to Louis, and then Louis, you know.
Let me tell you.
I'd like to say something too, Dennis, please.
Is one kind of a sort of when I listed about black person that took from Africa, or even their cousins in Africa. You know, it's not too long. It's when the British, the white man, when they defeated them, they gave them their religion. It's part of empire. It has been there like that for centuries. But still, the Africans, the black people that took to Brazil, still secretly worship their gods. See, in Haiti, look, this your neighbor there, the Haitians, Haiti people, they defeat the French by worshiping that their voodoo. They never talk about, oh, Jesus Christ, come and save me now. Oh, Jesus Christ, save me. They don't even know anything about Jesus Christ. Their God will never be mentioned, Jesus Christ or Joseph or Solomon, whatever it is. This literature that look like Oliver the Twist, this literature that look like Macbeth, this literature that you people are reading now, analyzing, that look like King Henry IV. What you just explained to me is like Oliver the Twist story.
Mhm.
You understand me? So your ancestors have nothing to do with Jesus Christ at all.
Right.
If you like explain heaven and earth, the white man will look at you and laugh.
Very good.
Let us
Ola, I understand where you're coming from, okay? And as an African myself, I have asked those questions and I got answers for that. But I don't want to get away from the point, because I think, Dennis, you kept me out for too long, and Brandon was having a field day, and the brother in the middle was having a field day, okay? I'm not here to convince anybody, okay, to come and join this or believe in that, okay? You've lived long enough, okay? As the Bible says, man is without excuse, because all around you can see the beautiful thing the Lord has made. You want scientific proof? Go read the book of Psalm. Okay, now listen to this quotation, Brandon. The earth is round and suspended in mid-air and held together by nothing. That's what the book of Psalm says about how the world is. Your scientists had to wait to get the bloody rocket to go to the moon to double check that. That's how good the Bible is. You think the Bible is a mythical story? Like I told you, Cambridge University, Oxford University, you know better than them. This is the stupidity of some of our black people. Instead of being wiser because you're nearer to the white man, you turn stupid. Okay? Go read the books of the early colonizers who went into Africa just studying in anthropology the behavior of the black man. Dr. Livingston, go and write the book he wrote, which is Cambridge educated man. Go and write the books he did. After the Bible is self-evident. All the people who came before you have not been able to shut down the Bible, and you ain't going to be able to shut down the Bible. Now, I'll give you another prophecy that will show you the power of the Bible to me, whether you like it or not. As it was in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, so shall it be in the end times of the Son of Man. We are seeing homosexuality rise and the fulfillment of that prophecy from Christ. You don't want to believe it? It's up to you. That's cool. I'm not going to force it on you. Okay, but if you know the truth, as a Jehovah's Witness, and you will force it down your throat because you're against it, you want to come and jump on every black man's throat, not because they're preaching the Bible, but because they say that Jesus is not God. And so they just say that Jesus is not a white man. And you're upset because you were brainwashed by the Jehovah's Witness church that has brainwashed many other black people that turn them even white, like our brother Michael Jackson. When you come from that Jehovah's Witness, oh, you're done for. And Brandon, that's your problem. You like black people, you don't want to see black people on top. Okay? I can't force you to believe in the Bible, and I'm not gonna. But what I'm saying, let's bring the bishop on, Bishop Nathaniel, let's bring his boys on, and let's deal with this, because Jesus is here. He's not going. White Jesus is destroyed our mind in Africa. He's not going. So if we're gonna have a Jesus, let him at least be black. And when I checked out, he was black. And now you guys go mad about it because the white man is injecting something to your brain you can't pull out.
Okay, can I say something?
Hang on. After Ola, there is certain part of our history when we get to that is not written down. And the evidence of the Bible shows that we, the black people who moved down into the forestry areas, running from the Arab man in the north, the Bible fulfills that, and it makes it quite clear to me. If you don't believe it, it's up to you. Right?
Okay, Mr. Lewis, can I interrupt you?
The Bible is here, it's not going anywhere. So let's challenge it. That's what Bishop Nathaniel wants you to. He wants you to challenge it. And the evidence is there. And if they're preaching, if they're preaching white Jesus, we got to right as black people who are revolutionaries to sit right where we are and challenge them, let them come out. That's what the Bible tells us to do. Or provoke the people.
Mr. Lewis, can somebody else talk? Can somebody else talk? Okay, Mr. Lewis.
So I was talking, okay?
Oh, okay, so
kicked off the platform. I'm back on, so don't make it seem like I'm talking too much. I just ain't gonna put up with nonsense. I gave you the evidence.
No, that's not what I'm saying, bro. I just want
evidence. I've given him one. He ain't gonna talk about it now.
You make good points, brother. I just want to speak. You make good points. I'm not challenging your point. Yeah. Well, okay. So my problem with the Hebrew Israelite thing is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To refer to yourself as a Hebrew Israelite, in my opinion, right, is no different than me referring to myself as Harry Potter. And what I mean by that is that the Bible is a fictional, metaphorical, symbolic book.
Hold
on, let me finish. So it's a fictional, and what I mean by that is that the moment that a snake utters a word in the Bible, after that, everything must be taken as symbolic, Because if it's not, then we out of touch with reality, because that's not the kind of reality that we're confronted with when we walk outside, right?
Very good.
So
Very good.
therefore, I'm not saying that we should throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't mean that just because a book is fictional, metaphorical, or symbolic that we should throw it out. No. I mean, that's good. All that means is that the only thing that we can get from the Bible is interpretation more than fact. Because what it does is it merges myth and reality. And because it merges myth and reality, and we're speaking the English language, which is a very metaphorical language, which allows for images to be produced in our minds very easily. But I'm not even going to get into that.
It's no different when you live into African language or Arabic.
Let me finish, brother. Let me finish. So because the Bible is such a fictional, metaphorical book, right? All we can get from it is interpretation. We can't get fact from it.
Okay, I'll give you.
I could put 50 people in a room. Hold on, brother. I promise you, I'm wrapping it up now.
Okay.
I could put 50 people in a room, right, and give them one verse, and each of those people will have different interpretations of their verse. And because of that, right, of that, it's black people do not need to rely on a metaphorical book in terms of where they're going politically or whatever, because like I say, it's stuff. What do we call the Bible? We call the Bible the Holy Bible, right? And we don't spell holy. We don't spell holy WHOLLY, which means whole. We spell it HOLE, right? HOLY, which means whole.
You know
right?
what it means.
So therefore, let me finish, brother. Let me finish. Brother, you're very passionate. Let me finish. So because, and that's exactly what the Bible is. It's holy. It's filled with holes. It's filled with contradictions.
No, that's
right?
nonsense,
Like for instance, a perfect contradiction. Brother, hold on, brother. You're passionate. You just talk. Let me finish. Right? Let me make my point, and then you can challenge my argument. Hold on, brother. Let me make my points, then you can challenge your arguments, right? Okay, so because you're making me follow my points. So, like I say, the Bible is filled with one of the biggest contradictions in the Bible, right? Is in the Old Testament. It says, "Thou shalt not commit adultery."
Yeah.
Right?
What's wrong with that?
And then later on down the line, God gets Mary pregnant when she's married to Joseph. So then God goes and commits adultery.
That's the white man told you that.
That is a downright contradiction, my brother. So man can't commit adultery, but God can. Mary was married to Joseph.
Bro, is the way it's interpreted.
No, brother. You're just passionate about the Bible, and that's cool, right? That's cool.
It is the way it was interpreted by the white man to you. That's why you read it like that.
No, bro, and that's the problem. That's the problem, brother. Interpretation. I'm not going to rely on anything that has to be interpreted. I'm going to rely on fact.
Listen,
2 + 2 = 4.
Okay, very good.
Right.
With that evidence, now let me tell you to answer some of your questions because I wrote some of them down. Okay? Hear me out.
All right.
The Bible talks about the children of Israel being in Egypt. Do you know the evidence of the children of Israel being in Egypt? The ruling
can I
king.
respond? Can I respond to that?
The ruling king.
Ask me a question.
No, I've just started speaking. So you do what I'm doing, what you're complaining about. Okay? You see, whenever you talk about the Bible, you give me evidence.
Man, chill out, man. Let the man
those
ask
people,
a question. Let him respond.
Exactly.
No, I haven't finished my thing. I'm going to respond on that.
Okay, I'll pass the mic to Mika. Go ahead, Mika.
No, because you don't want me to make my point. You're doing the same thing again. Now you're being artistic. That's not fair.
Pass the mic to Mika. Go ahead, Mika.
You don't want me to.
Go ahead, Mika. Golly, man. Go ahead, Mika.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I don't know where the conversation has reached, but I was just going to, when I wanted to join, I dropped out. I was just going to comment on, like for Africans, obviously, you know, I'm from Zambia. I don't think we need to join the identity pronouns and join the bandwagon. Like the Americans, you know, now I'm FBA, now I'm Hebrew, now I'm Cherokee, now I'm, you know, Nubian and more and all this and all that. Because obviously we have a very seriously well-documented history. We have visual records like the Benin bronzes. We have writing systems like Tifinagh, Giz, Majunechali, which the Egyptologists call Meduneta. We have oral traditions, scribes, hereditary scribes and griots who tell the stories. Yeah, we have linguistics. With linguistics, you can tell which tribe migrated from where, which group moved from where. So how are we going to start speculating that we are aliens, we are this, we are that? I'm also a Christian, so from a biblical point of view, I don't think the Bible wasn't really written from a racial perspectives. This is purely a European invention, but it will tell you the geography of where people lived and who they were. So if you want, it identifies very clearly who are the Africans in the Bible, and we're identified as the descendants of Kemet, which is Mizraim, which the Greeks called Egypt. Also the descendants of Cush, which the Arabs called Sudan, and also Abyssinia, which in our current lingo is Ethiopia. Even though it doesn't necessarily just mean the current country of Ethiopia, because the borders are like a modern invention, right? So Abyssinia can be anything, including Djibouti and Eritrea and that region. And then you've got Pant or Pawantu, which is any region from the Horn of Africa going into Central Africa. So the Bible doesn't really, there's no space for confusion about who was who. We have the Hyksos or the Hebrews who came into Egypt, and the ancient Africans, which would have been the Sudanese and the Egyptians, looked at them as slaves, and they actually had depictions of them. You've got papyri that shows what they looked like. They were clearly Middle Eastern Semitic looking people. So this ideology that those people were the black people, we are those people, I think there's just no need for all this ideological confusion. Also, yeah, so if Abraham was a black man, no, he wasn't. It's very clear that he was from the land of Ur. Ur is in Iraq. Are you telling me that the people in Iraq are black people? They are not. I think this idea that everybody in the Bible was black, and it's just the same as the previous ideology that everybody in the Bible was white, or everybody in human history. Because as a Christian, I look at the Bible as human history. So it's basically the ancient Israelites interacting with different groups of people from Africa, from Asia, from Europe. It doesn't need to be a black story. You don't have to make it a black story. There's enough history in Africa for us to not need to be claiming to be the people of Iraq or the black Vikings and all this stuff that's coming out of America. So as Africans, there's no excuse to have an identity crisis or to jump on the bandwagon, because we have so many modes of tracking our history, like I said, linguistics and all these other ways. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm going to comment on. It even tells you, like the last pharaoh, who was Netanyahu, he died fighting the Persians, and after that, people started scattering into different parts of Africa. So you have the traditions of the Maasai and the Luos, and they'll tell you that they came from the north or from the Nile Valley, running, looking for greener pastures, because the Sahara was drying up, and then the Nile Valley was being invaded by the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Persians, and the last pharaoh abandoned his post, and people started scattering all over Africa, and that's basically the Bantu migration. So this is recorded African history. So why do you need to speculate that you came from Israel or you came from Iceland? I mean, it's just nonsense, and it needs to stop. So,
Hey, Diamond,
Jesus was not black too, because it's very clear who Jesus was in the Bible. It does say that he was born in Bethlehem, and when did those people become black? They never were black. There's no reason to think he was black. He clearly was of a Semitic background, and that doesn't change my faith in any kind of way. The Europeans came and tried to make him an Aryan Jesus. Now the blacks want to come and make him a black Jesus. It's nonsense. It's ideological nonsense. There's no need for it. Yeah, I'm not a Christian because of what color Jesus was. It's really just more about my conviction and relationship with God, and that's just what I wanted to say.
Hey, Dynas, can I say something?
Yeah, then I'm passing to Roosevelt after you. Go ahead, Brandon.
All right, so like the thing with the Hebrew Israelites, to speak to the title, is this: they haven't figured out nothing in their own country, which is America. The idea that you could be an absolute failure, your ideology has totally failed in America, but now you're like, I'm gonna go to other countries that, if you look at the condition of the black community and then look at the condition of these countries, some of these countries are doing better than the black community per capita, right? But the idea that I'm gonna be the authority in another place is absolutely ridiculous. You have no proof of concept. You have no example of how what you think or believe has improved or fixed your community. The only thing you've accomplished is to recruit a bunch of people into your cult and make them ultimately ineffective. Like you've basically made them a liability in your community because now they're believing no matter what we do, there's no hope for anything good to happen because we're cursed. Why would you want to take such a cancerous, enabling message into other countries, into other communities? Do you think Africa is going to be developed or it's going to prosper if every African adopts this idea that we're not going to be able to do crap until everybody starts to follow the laws, right? Even though the Bible says that no one is going to be determined righteous by the laws. And I want to say something, Dinus, to you. Did you notice how the last show I was on when the Hebrew Israelites were up here? Did you notice that the more I tore down their ideology, the more they started walking back what they believe? Because remember, they told us for decades, we've all understood that Hebrew Israelites believe that unless we all come back to the law, we were hopelessly cursed and doomed. But when I brought up the scriptures where the Bible says that no man will be determined righteous or saved by works of law, did you notice how all of a sudden the Hebrew Israelites were like, I never said that that the law was going to save anybody? Do you ever notice that? It's like they agree with you just so you'll stop poking holes in their logic. And then as soon as you're not around, they'll go right back to those same assertions to try to fool someone who is less knowledgeable than you might be. Have you noticed that, Dinus?
Yeah, they got to move the goalposts. Okay. You done, Brandon? Let me pass it to Roosevelt. Go ahead, Roosevelt.
Yeah, that's some good points Sister Mika made. And there are also some good points that Brandon made. But the thing I want to say is that y'all have to understand that Hebrew Israelites, most of us were Christians. So some of us, like me, I was licensed and ordained for 20 years in the Christian indoctrination. There is something that many would call African spirituality, many would call Black spirituality, but there is something that the message in the book speaks to that is beyond the factual fiction that we've had to live with. And I'm gonna try to concise this because my wife's been on me about we got to get out of here. To the brother Skywalker, and I'll come back to you, Brandon. To the brother Skywalker, you have to learn how to use fiction. This is what I've learned since I was a Christian when I was 9 years old. You have to learn how to use fiction the way you have been taught to use it in the world that you live in, not just America. I'm glad I went to Africa. I didn't just visit. I packed up everything to move there. Come see, come sigh. We make decisions a lot of times that are rash, and I won't deal with that. That's a book. But the fiction that we live in every day, Brother Skywalker included, no disrespect, no shade on nobody, and we should keep this from being personal, brothers. The fiction that we live in, those of us in the U.S., we're living by it. We're swearing by it. And we have been documented under it. And I don't care what we call ourselves, Israelite, Christian, Pan-Africanist, you are living by that fiction. That fiction is governing your life from birth to death. You are numbered by that fiction. And if you were to die, a $10 million insurance bond scattered all over the world. Let me get this charger in here so this thing doesn't die on me. Scattered all over the world is taken out over you, and you do not get to see any of it.
Brother, can I interrupt you real quick?
No, let him finish. Let him finish.
No, you're gonna get me off my point. I
Let him
love you,
finish.
brother, but let me finish. I won't be too long.
Sorry
The
about that. Go ahead, brother.
fiction, that's okay, Skywalker. The fiction that is in the Bible, you have to learn how to use it. Because it is one thing to see something that is not real, that you can't get around it. You're not going to remove what's written in the Bible, and you're not going to remove whether manipulated or whether it is actually happening. You're not going to remove the fact that over and over again, this is to your point, Brandon, yes, things stated in the Bible have happened before. You're not going to be able to remove that. So you got to get around that fiction. Your way of getting around that fiction may be staying away from it as far as you can from it and not engaging with it in any form. But here's where we're making a mistake as people, and here's why I like the title of this broadcast so much. You should never impose your fiction on anyone. Your fiction, which to you may be your truth, you should never impose it. The one that they call Jesus, there's a whole lot about that name, but anyway, Jesus said, cast not your pearls to swine, neither give that which is holy unto the dogs. Now, the English language has cast a spell on all of us. The word is not holy, H-O-L-E. And that's what them devils did. And I do say devil. Devil to me just means the evil. The evil. Okay, so I don't want anybody to be tripped out by the religious word. That's what they did when they switched everything to English. But you ask an Ethiopian person if Yahusha, or however they say it, was he white? And they'll tell you no. Of course he wasn't. You ask them if the Ethiopian Bible, which is far after the original writings, was written by a white man, and they'll tell you no. For all the artifacts and all of the things that, as far as we can know, are fiction in the book, the Ark of the Covenant, the chalice, the temple that was built by Solomon. That's not fiction. It's still there. It's just in destruction.
Ain't nobody found that. That's not true.
Hey, Dynasty, can I speak now?
Well, no, let Roosevelt finish. Roosevelt, you got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds, Roosevelt.
Thank you. Learn how to use the fiction. But here's what you don't want to do. And this is what my brothers did when they went over there. You don't want to spend your life trying to destroy something that you don't believe in. The biggest testimony that I believe what I believe is giving what I have. And if you don't want it, I don't give it to you. But when I hear you say that because you don't believe it, it's not legitimate, and the people who believe it are somehow infidel and less than your level of intelligence, then you're doing what my brothers appear to have done when they went into Kenya. I know Bishop Nathaniel, and The cool thing about these sound bites and this energy on these cameras, you don't know who you're talking to. You could be talking to an agent. You could be talking to someone who the FBI has a file on as long as the block that you lived on. And you have to be careful what you say to your brother, because we're in a time now where, regardless as to what route you choose to take, you're going to walk into your place of authority in the earth.
Okay, brother. Now let me respond to that. Now you're speaking about fiction. Now, brother, what I'm saying about the Bible ought to be common sense. I mean, we know that snakes can't talk. We know that oceans. Hold on, let me finish.
I'm not
Let me
refuting
finish, brother. Let me finish. And what I'm saying is, like I said, there's nothing wrong with reading a fictional book and seeking to glean some kind of morale from it, right? But that's not what our Hebrew Israelite brothers are doing. They are literally inserting themselves. Let me finish, brother.
You gotta let me finish, Roosevelt. You gotta
Let me finish. Let me finish. You know what I'm saying? That's not what they are doing. They are not, in a sense, you know, trying to seek a morale out of it. Like I say, like the metaphor, or like the analogy I gave: 50 people, one scripture, 50 different interpretations. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's not what they're doing. Right? They are literally claiming to be somebody in a fictional book, and that's the same thing that my son does with the Power Rangers. Right? So what I mean is, right, maybe a more proper way to look at the Bible that would be more consistent with I guess with your point, or with what they are trying to do, is to take this symbolic book, right, and look for people in the actual world where snakes cannot talk, right, and point to their people and say, hey, look, the characters in this book's experience, right? So the character in this work of literature, the characters, their experience seems to look a lot like our experience, right? That's a more proper thing to do. Not to say, hey, we are the Hebrews in this book where snakes can talk, in this fantasy world, right? No, that's not what we ought to be doing, right? Because at that point, hold on, let me finish. Let me finish, brother.
You gotta let me finish. You gotta let me finish,
Dennis, I'm gonna let him finish.
Roosevelt, you can't interrupt him because I didn't let him interrupt.
I'm gonna let him finish.
I'm trying to hear him.
Platform, but just let me say this, Don.
So at that, no, brother, let me finish my argument, right? And so, like I say, to insert yourself in a fictional book is no different than me claiming to be Odysseus, Achilles, all people who were invented by poets, right? And so when you speak the language of your oppressor, their language is going to be very, very persuasive for you, right? But I'm not going to get into linguistics here, where my background is. But let me bring it back, right? Okay. So that's what I'm saying. It is foolish to do that. I'm not challenging anyone's intellect, right? I'm simply saying that to put yourself in a symbolic book rather than to compare your experience with that book, right? It goes way beyond common sense, and it is one of the bases of our collective confusion as a race. That's all I'm saying, brother.
Okay, Skywalker, I agree with what you're saying. But I think the thing, again, brother, where you're stretching it too far, you are assuming that because there are, as I will admit, allegories and fiction and stories, parables that magnify not only what the people were dealing with at the time, because that is not just a storybook full of fables. And when your so-called white man gets his hand on it, it's just like Eminem getting his hands on rap and Elvis getting his hands on rock and roll, and it can sway 3 generations. You can't make this just a religious, empty argument, because you will become what you are giving constructive criticism to. And I'm keeping this from being personal. The Bible is not written for everyone. The people in the Bible, characters, though some may be embellished to tell stories, but the people who were around during that time are real. And there is one thing that you have to do when you look at the Bible. You got to give it the authority in its representation that you give the Constitution in the United States of America.
Okay, let me pass the mic. Guys, hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Make sure you share and subscribe. But again, please hit that like button. Go ahead, Free Game.
I think that this is a very confusing topic. Is a topic that can be misconstrued very easily. For instance, the woman came on here that was from Zambia. Who she said she don't believe in certain things in the Bible, and then said she was a Christian, right? In Africa, you have so many different tribes that's going against each other, that's harming each other, that raise prices on each other. Why is it a problem? And now, I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. I'm playing devil's advocate. And I want you to answer this, Dynas. Why is it a problem when Bishop Nathaniel go over there and he do the same thing when some of these tribes were founded off the same principles that Bishop Nathaniel was talking about from the Bible?
What tribes are founded off the principles of the Bible? Name them.
No, I didn't say that. I said same principle. I said same principle. I said that they believe something. They believe something as true, and they made it into a tribe, which is sort of a religion. So all tribes.
I'm answering your question. The issue with Bishop Nathaniel is I'm not a Christian, but if you're in your house of worship during worship time on a Sunday, say 10 a.m., you're having church service, I'm not going to bum rush your church with a microphone screaming how Christianity is inadequate and white Jesus isn't real and this isn't real during church service.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he did. And that's just stupid.
Yeah, but Dynas, I'm playing devil's advocate again. I'm
no devil's advocate. I ain't advocating for the devil. That's just stupid.
Well, hold on. Is it any different from a Luo from Kenya go to a Kikuyu and say, I'm gonna raise them prices? That's a Kikuyu right there. Is there any difference between what Bishop Nathaniel did? He just did it out loud. One is doing it quietly and one is doing it out loud. So is there any difference between what Pastor Nathaniel did, the Bishop Nathaniel did, in a tribe? Hold on, in a tribe.
I know your argument. Free Game, you can't be
Dynas, can I take this?
Guys, don't speak over me. Free Game, I understand you have this animosity towards Africans.
Oh no! I'm going to I'll be African this year. No, I'm saying that is it any different?
You can't justify doing that. That's the point. That's a stupid equivalent, Free Game. You cannot justify doing that and excuse doing that. I'm not gonna do that. You know better. They know better. You shouldn't do that. Period. I don't care what other tribes do and what tribalism goes on. You just don't do stupid stuff like that.
That wasn't right.
Yeah, they deserve to get run off the block.
So you saying how he did it was the issue.
Yeah. I have debates. Like, listen, when I was in so I go to synagogue every year. I go to a event called the Magal, which is Islamic. I had conversations about Islam in the houses of Muslims. I didn't show up to the mosque with a microphone yelling how certain aspects of Islam I disagree with. Bishop Nathaniel, these people are stupid.
Yeah.
They deserve to get ran off the block.
Now, I believe they are stupid for doing that. But ultimately what I'm saying here is that you have to look at it at how tribalism and
No,
even
free game,
here.
free
Hold
game,
on, hold
free game.
on.
This has nothing to do with free game. You're making a false equivalent. Free game. I understand
No,
tribalism. Free game. We get the tribalism, but again, I'm not gonna show up to an Islamic event, even though there's certain aspects of Islam that I disagree with, and start yelling at the mosque how I disagree with this and that and the other. What I'll do is, hey, brother, let's have a conversation over here, or come on the podcast, or let's sit down and eat. Let's go to someone's house or this imam's house and have a conversation. I just don't understand how you're trying to compare this to tribalism and all that and other. I'm not defending tribalism. What I'm saying is what he did was stupid. And I just don't understand why you keep bringing up tribalism.
what I'm saying is each tribe have a different mythology. And it's based off religion.
Free game, no shit. Nobody, no shit. We're not saying they don't. What's your point?
So what I'm saying is, are you comfortable with them treating each other harshly on the low versus what Nathaniel did, and he did it out loud?
What are you talking
It
about?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think
we got to pass.
It wasn't right, free game. It wasn't right.
Can I make a comment, please?
I don't know the hell you talking about free game. Go ahead, Pete.
My thing is, did anybody catch that he went to a slum speaking English to people who don't even understand English?
The whole situation was just stupid. I mean,
it wasn't
we're
wise.
not saying they don't understand English. It's just you're going to a slum. Their English might not be the same English that he speaks. You're showing up to their church during church service, screaming and yelling. I mean, it was just stupid. And people trying to make this equation and equate it to this and equate it to tribalism and on the down low. It was
I think
stupid.
the whole Hebrew Israelite thing is a psyop.
Me too, brother. I want to say why I think. Hey, can I say why I agree with you, brother, on it? I'm gonna tell you why I think I agree with you on it. Because
it's not, Jay. It's not.
Because you want to know why? Because they get too much airtime, right? They get too much airtime. Now, like any kind of group that's really for the, what I'm saying, like the benefit of black people, maybe like a black armed group or something like that, they get very, very, very little airtime, right? So when the media get to shed light on you,
Skywalker, I disagree, and the reason why I say
you disagree?
that is, I'm gonna say why.
Okay.
The reason why is at one time the black militant groups like the Black Panther Party got airtime because that's where Black America was at. Now Black America is going through an identity crisis. So that's why you have FBA, Hebrew Israelites, We the Indians.
That's why it's a psyop.
Yeah, so
exactly. Okay.
It's not necessarily psyop. It's just
confusion. It's just absolute confusion.
Black America has evolved from Black Panthers. So I remember when I first came to the conscious community, it was primarily black, red, black, and green. Now it's we the Indians, we the Hebrews, we the Olmecs. They get
promoted. But how did that identity crisis come, Dinus? How did that? What's the root of that identity crisis? What would you say that it came from? Like what sparked it?
It didn't start with the Hebrew Israelites, as people call us. It didn't start with that. And what we have to understand is, though we are all melanated people, we are not all from the same line or family.
Roosevelt.
No, wait. Just let me
finish.
This dude,
he's the member of a cult, man.
Just let me finish.
I'm
there are some Israelite camps, I can tell you now, that are heavily infiltrated. There are some Israelite camps that I can agree with you, Skywalker, are psyops. And you have to understand this world that we live in. Everything surrounding any movement that we start is going to be infiltrated, targeted, because you are walking around with the monitor bracelet on you of, and I won't say this because this is not my platform and I don't want to introduce things here that Dynas has not originated. I'm
gonna break it down why y'all is a psyop.
Okay, good. You can do that. And let me just say this, and I got to get out the door because I'm beyond my time.
Now, I want you to be here because there's one thing that you
I
guys
will
like to say.
Look, anybody that wants to debate with me or communicate with me, I'd rather communicate with you. Roosevelt Brown, just send something. You can comment on one of my hokey videos.
I just got one question.
No, wait. I want to say this. What is happening from the core is there is a remnant of us that have woken up to our true, and you can't put black on it. You can't put African American on it, because you have to understand that we were existing in the earth thousands and thousands of years before any of these terms were categorically placed on black people. And you have to understand, my better term is melanated people. You have to understand that what they have languaged us into is you can't get away from some form of being manipulated. I don't care what you study. And that's why you have to go in here. The thing about the Bible, beyond all of the fiction, is it encourages you to go in here. The problem is you ain't going to find the same thing on the inside of you.
Bro, the Bible is an epic poem. That's all it is. It's no different than the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Gilgamesh, the Bhagavad Gita. That's all it is, bro. Y'all are stuck in a book. That's crazy.
You can express that, Skywalker. You can express that, but the thing I'm telling you, brother, you need to stand down from making general blanket statements about men who do not subscribe to truth.
Let me just add something, Skywalker.
The way you do. You got to stand down from that.
I got a question for you, Roosevelt.
Because, okay, Pete, you have to stand down from that, because when
I'm not saying anyone's wrong. I'm just telling you my opinion. My opinion is that
Skywalker
is wrong for believing in what they believe in. Right?
The only way we as a people can get to where we are purposed to get to.
Actually, it's the Israelites that's doing that.
No. We have been experiencing this. Come on, man. I'm sure you grew up in the hood. I grew up in Watts. We didn't need the Israelites to be fighting each other, disrespecting each other. I grew up in Watts before Tookie walked around, before I saw all the NWNR when they were snotty nosed nobody. So everything that uses us to pit ourselves against one another, we got to stand away from now. This is the new group of Negroes we need to call out for destroying the minds of our people. And you're not going to get through this thing making conclusions about what you don't agree with. You're not going to get through it. You're not going to make it. The time that we are in now is we have to do as a people what every government all over the world was doing to us. I'm gonna say,
Roosevelt, I gotta pass the mic. Go ahead,
Roosevelt.
Pete.
Go ahead, Pete. My thing with the Hebrew Israelite is this, and it's more concerning about your boy Nathaniel. When he starts talking about African tribes, and he starts talking about Bantu, Nilotic, and stuff like that, that's when it gets tricky, because he's literally repeating 20th, 19th century German and British colonialists and pastors that were going through Africa. They started in South Africa. He's literally repeating like colonial talking points. I don't think he understands some of the stuff that he's talking about. When he talks about the Bible, I agree. There's a lot of African, cultures in there. It's true. I agree with a lot of stuff that he says. But when I say it's a psyop, I say it's a psyop because it mixes a lot of truth. It mixes a lot of lies with a lot of truth. And when they start getting into African culture, that's where they lose me. Because they start talking, because I remember he was calling certain tribes heathens. I remember he used the word heathens, saying that Nilotics are heathens. These are his words.
Damn, who said that?
But see, I'm not.
That's crazy.
I'm not with him that way. I'm not with him
That's
that way.
the type of
As a matter
ignorance
of
that
fact,
he was
here's another thing they do. They say what they say about so-called Africans. I mean, we can go deep with this. The word Africa.
He said Nilotic people sold
They
us.
say
They're
what
heathens.
they say about Africans, but then over here they got a chart that has.
Do you realize that Bill Gates, the World Health Organizations, and all these groups, they're the group that they're targeting the most? Like when you actually go to all these AIDS camps, they're literally they're trying to get them extinct out of this world. And you got this Hebrew Israelite literally going around saying they're heathens, they're this. So that's when I say it's a psyop. I'm like, damn, this guy's literally.
I'm not with that. I'm not with that at all. I'm also not with how.
But that's who y'all take as your credibility.
No.
You claim to be a Hebrew Israelite.
Pete, this is what I said. It's what I just said to Brother Skywalker. You got to stop
generalizing.
Wait, Pete. When you hear Israelite,
no, when I hear that, I hear population control psyop.
Wait a minute. You don't want to be like Caucasians are with us. When they hear black, it don't matter what you say. That's a nigger.
You don't want to be like that. Nilotic peoples are heathens.
But you don't want to be.
That's Bill Gates.
No, but here's an Israelite telling you, I lived in Africa 3 years.
Homeboy, Kyrie Irving is your biggest sponsor. All you have to do is look at the Dallas Mavericks owner.
See, you're doing
that
this.
That was Donald Trump's biggest sponsor.
Are you hearing me?
Look at the war going on in Yemen right now.
Pete, are you hearing me?
You don't even know the world right now.
Pete, I lived
Look
in
at Palestine right now. Who's sponsoring?
I lived in Africa.
It sounds like everything you're saying is the opposite of what he stands for. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Pete, thank you, Jay. You're looking at what our brothers did down there, and you're making.
I'm looking at the movement.
Okay. But to some of us, it's not a movement.
It's like saying all Jews support the Palestinian genocide. There are some Jews that don't, believe it or not.
There's some Jews,
so you got to have some nuance, respectfully.
It's like that y'all lump everything in like this genealogical thing. Like for instance, in California, y'all saying that the Mexicans are the Hebrews. I mean, where do the line get drawn?
Dang, you got to cut. Because I was just getting ready to get into that. I was just getting ready to say to Pete that not only am I not with what Bishop Nathaniel did, I lived in Kenya for a year. Most people there didn't even know I was an Israelite. And the only people that I told that our Messiah looks like us took $7,000 from me.
Roosevelt, I want to make something clear. I believe everything you guys say about the Bible. I actually believe it.
You got to let me speak, because all I'm saying, this is my point for being on this platform. I didn't come to argue about the legitimacy of the Bible, the legitimacy of being a person who professes to be an Israelite.
No,
I came here because Dynas's title is accurate. You're going to fly all the way over to Kenya to get stoned. They could have died over there.
That's a psyop.
See, that's my brother. And they might be. I don't agree with him according to what Free Game said. Don't say y'all when you see Israelites, because there are tons of Israelites that aren't on YouTube that are waiting for what we were created for. Everybody on this panel is sick of having to be licensed. Okay? Everybody on this panel is sick of knowing that we better watch what we say or we're going to be targeted in some kind of way. You're talking to someone who, because of my history, before I was knowing I was an Israelite, has been on the FBI's list for a long time. So I'm not playing with this. I'm not going to say.
Why are you on the FBI list?
Why am I on the FBI list?
Allegedly, yeah.
Because
allegedly.
I was involved with a Christian group.
What was the name of the Christian group?
The Christian group was Watts Christian Center. Our pastor was a Laker, a trailblazer. Then he was a Laker, and he left the NBA and started a ministry. We had a 19-acre farm in Oregon, 8-acre farm in Sandy, Oregon, and it was around the same time. Remember the Roshnishis and the Bhagwan were leading people astray. This was the late 80s. So it was a time where LA was jumping. We ran the Olympic Pro League. We ran the NBA Summer Pro League. And we were connected with Motown, all of the record companies. Everybody knew us. And a little girl died in one of our nurseries. That was it. We're a cult. So all of a sudden, next thing you know, this.
How did she die? Allegedly, not allegedly. How she died?
She died because she was being spanked and chastised unfairly by one of the workers that we had in the nursery that was disgruntled. And it went all over the place. We were on Oprah Winfrey, everything. And I'm just bringing that up because I have a history with seeing how you can be part of something that you were not privy to what was going on in another location. Now, listen, I don't live in the same state that Nathaniel's living with, but I can tell by what's on the internet and some of his statements, there's some things that are going on that, okay, we need continual addressing of this. What's written in the book doesn't advocate you titling yourself something and not living it. I don't care how many clicks you got. I don't care how many people come to your Passover celebrations. If you're not living what's in that book, according to a statute of laws that you can find in every religion, you're going to get found out. I'm not here to condone nothing that is happening. As a matter of fact, I'm here to support, yeah, this is a topic and this needs to be addressed. But the one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sit here after what I have studied and what I have lived through beyond study. I'm not going to sit here and let someone generalize us, and it just perpetuates what we do to one another. You know, when you go to Dubai, there's all kinds of people running things, doing things. They don't agree. We have not found a way to do that yet. And it's why when we do stuff, it spills over into, just like the group I was a part of. Now you're going to mess with somebody's wife. Because see, when you disrespect your brother, you have done the thing that is hard for us to get beyond, because the whole world is disrespecting us and they're hiding it. They keep lifting us up and then they'll cut one of us down. And it's like Roberta Black's song. They're killing us over and over again. We got to find a way to stop doing that with one another. And a platform as rich as this, it's supposed to remain with the subject, not tear down the Israelites, because it's not a movement to those of us.
I'm not tearing down the Israelites.
Oh, I didn't say you're doing that, Dinus. I didn't say that.
I'm just saying that people claiming to be Israelites aren't the real Israelites.
Yeah, and see, that's where you and I, we should probably take a segment. You call me on, and I would tell you without antagonism and all of that why we know we are. We know we are.
Well,
tell you
why?
Okay, it would take longer than some time, but I'll just offer you this. the place where you, even among your own people, cannot support them without them stabbing you in the back. The fact that you have never known, your great-grandfather has never known it, maybe far back, I would dare say, you have never known a world where another man does not license you and put you on his time. And you got to realize Israelites are not people who join a movement and convert. Israelites are people who, according to the book, that's why, the book is, people can call it fiction because there are fictionary things in it. But according to the book, something would happen with Israelites that they can't deny. In the land of their captivity, they are going to wake up and return to what they were created for. In America, all over the world, but concentrated in America, is Judah, Yahudah, and they will be putting their hands in the neck of the ones who have oppressed their people. And we can't deny it. And we love our people. We love our people who are mixed with us. Because contrary to what Sister Mika said, you didn't have a lot of pale-faced people walking around that mass of land, and people need to be careful because you don't know where these people come from. Christianity has taught you lies about people. Judaism, which is what we don't practice Judaism. And to what Brandon said, no, we didn't hear about our Messiah and who he really is from white men. So this whole thing, if you can take and whitewash the ethnicity of something, you get our people to do exactly what you wanted them to do. It's not all true. It's not true. It's not true. How could it be this and then turn around and be this? The same way that you think the white man invented everything in America. It's easy. How can the people who were never from that mass of land, Tamika, and say, no. This is people.
Hey, Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I mean, your argument, brother. What you're saying about the Bible. Like I say, it's not an argument. I'm not saying it's an argument, but I'm just going to say this. You know what all somebody has to do to like for instance, you said in the Bible it says that Judah is in America or something like that, right? You just said something like that. No. Well, let me say what I was going to say.
No, Skywalker.
What?
If you did not hear what I said, if you were not here listening to all that I said, then you shouldn't try to address it. Because, brother, look.
I'm talking about what you just said, like literally 6 seconds ago when I was on.
You can't do that. Okay. This is why that's not fair. Because
well, say what you said. You said that the tribe of Judah or something. Oh my God, brother. It's not that. I was just going to make a point. It's literally not that. Not that important. I could say what I was going to say without having to say that clause before the sentence. Right.
Skywalker, brother.
Oh my goodness.
This is why I know. Oh my goodness, but brother, this is why we can't get to where. Well, we gonna get there.
No, it's just It's literally it's. To me, it's.
You have to leave.
It's almost unbelievable that somebody could be that brainwashed. For me, it's.
But
I'm trying to find
Skywalker. There you go. Bro, let me tell you how brainwashed we are.
What I'm saying is, brother, you said before your argument, you said, hold on, brother, you were just talking. I literally left and came back and you were still talking. So can I make the point?
No. See,
okay, so, oh my goodness.
Let me tell you
you can't even.
Let me tell you why that's disrespectful.
No, please don't go on another harangue. That's one thing we don't need is another harangue, brother. So like I apologize. I apologize if I offended you, and let's leave it there.
You didn't offend me, brother. You didn't offend me, but you're not letting me talk.
Brother, you were just talking for almost 30 minutes on end. I literally left, went got something to eat, came back, and you were the only one on the video talking.
Who are you to say I'm finished? And that's why I said, come on, Skywalker.
Dinus, can we get some
Roosevelt, you got 30 seconds. Go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
This is what happens to us in court. This is what happens to us all over the world. My brothers got rocked, not because they believed the Bible, because they disrespected Kenya and the people there. And this is all I'm saying on this platform.
I agree.
You are not going to reach a man telling him that what he believes is hogwash and fiction. You will lose him because he has lived with that all of his life. Nobody respects anybody on this panel who is running government. I've lived long enough to know, Skywalker.
It's been 30 seconds.
We got to get out of
It's definitely been 30 seconds. Okay, so let me now, like I say, I was, this guy said that the tribe of Judah was in America, right? And but before he said that, he said the Bible says. So in order to rebut all this argument, guys, all we got to do is say, hey, look, we don't believe what the Bible says. The Bible's a book. We don't care what the Bible says. What is your reasoning? Not based off the Bible, right? And they can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And so anytime you become a person where the only book you've read is the Bible, or any other book, or any other book that you've read, hold on, brother. I'm not saying that's you. I'm not saying you. You caught that out the air, brother. Yeah. Now, hold on. Okay, so, oh my, Dinus.
No. Okay, hey, Dinus, I'm gonna go ahead and take myself off. But what is not fair is you making statements coming in on the tail end. I wasn't talking.
Oh my goodness, brother.
You're making statements coming in on the tail end, and I never got to say fully what I was going to say. I said Judah is all over the world, but there is a concentrated.
That's not true. That's not true.
Oh, exactly, man. Here we go, man. Like this
in America. If you don't believe the Bible, then what do you know about Judah? How do you know it's not true? If you don't believe the Bible, what do you know about Judah? And what do you know is not true? And how are you an authority on saying
what do I know about Judah? I know that Judah is a fictional place in a fictional book, the same day that Rivendell is a fictional place in Lord of the Rings, brother. That's all. You know what I'm saying? That's what I know.
And while you're saying that, a bunch of white men who have,
I don't care, brother. That's your problem. No, I'm a self-reliant brother. Black people should not be concerned about what white people are doing. Black people should not be concerned about what white people are doing. I don't care what white people are doing, brother. That's their business. They're doing what's in the interest of their race. We should be doing what's in the interest of our race.
Do you know this government is giving billions?
I don't care what this government is doing, brother. Brother, I don't care what this government is doing. I don't care. And see, I'm a self-reliant brother. Black people should be focused on self-reliance, not religious dogma, and not being concerned what the media is reporting that the government is doing, which is aimed at doing nothing but arousing your emotional
I went to
consciousness, brother.
Africa on my own money, not telling people that they are Judah and they are Israelites.
Oh my goodness, brother. We feel you. We feel you, and you and Bishop Nathaniel, man, we wish you the best, brother.
There you go. Okay, well then, wish me the best and let me represent myself and quit trying.
Okay, there you go. Bye. Okay, so now can we get into can we engage into some discourse that concerns the topic of this panel?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, now. Okay, so the Hebrew Israelite thing. Yes, they were completely wrong for what they did. First of all, I've kind of laid down the reason they're wrong in terms of the doctrine and just like the overall kind of substance of what they're preaching. And now we can talk about why they were wrong just based off common sense, right? First of all, they're lucky that it was just rocks that were thrown at them, right? You don't go and push your interpretation of a religion on someone else that is held in an atmosphere like we are having right now. So for I don't know what kind of juice or Kool-Aid that Bishop Nathaniel is feeding our brothers in the Hebrew Israelites, but it is dangerous. First of all, it's dangerous because that is an organization that was formed by Black Americans. The last thing we need is a cult of Black Americans running around Africa, running into churches, claiming that they the chosen people of God. It's crazy. But I know I sound passionate about it, but let me pass the feed, brother.
my thing with dude, he said that he was part of a cult that a kid died from a whooping, and everybody just heard that and just passed by like it was nothing.
No, I didn't. I was like, I mean, yeah. Go ahead and expand on it. No, go ahead and expand on it.
Like, it's shit like that makes people like Skywalker not believe the Bible or anything like about the Bible, because you were literally part of a group that was investigated by the FBI. You go ahead and ask them, because I heard your questions. You were like, man, nah, we're not gonna get past this. Why were you investigated? I'm glad you did that, because now I really want to know how many young kids they had in this little cult.
It was
I was just looking at dude
I'm gonna
talking.
look
I'm
it up.
like,
It was
you even
Watts
have a
Christensen.
family? Like, what's
It
going
was
on?
Watts Christensen. I'm gonna look it up.
Because that was weird. My thing with the Hebrew Israelites is this. You might be right, but that Bishop Nathaniel dude has been quoted saying Nilotics are heathens. And then he'll go to Kibera slums in Kenya, which is full of Luos who are considered Nilots, and start preaching there. So this is a group of people you already consider to be heathens. You don't like them. You've expressed the same thing in your preachers before online, when you're talking about we're the chosen people and then these people are heathens. And you're being specific. You're talking about Nilotic people. Very specific. The same group of people that all these health organizations are targeting. You're talking about them being heathens. That's why I say the whole thing is a psyop. You got people who are part of cults killing kids, and you got another person that's basically spreading, Bill Gates propaganda with the Bible in it. Like, it just doesn't make
And you
sense.
know
It
what?
makes Skywalker even more relevant.
And you know what, brother? The type of rhetoric that they spew is poised for that type of conduct. It's poised for that kind of Sunni. I mean, what's that extreme kind of Muslim law? Is it Sunni or
It's Sunni.
Sharia.
Sharia?
Wahhabi.
Yeah,
Wahhabi.
yeah, yeah. It's poised for that kind of extreme law, right? You know,
Exactly.
those people, like I say, they're very dangerous. Their rhetoric is very dangerous.
They don't know where it comes from. They don't even understand where a lot of their talking points come from. That's really what's dangerous. But yeah, we gotta look into that child abuse case for real, because that's weird.
I just pulled it up. I haven't pulled it up yet. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, what were you guys talking about child abuse? I mean, what did I miss something?
Yeah, this man, when you left, when he was speaking, he was bragging about the FBI was investigating him, and then Dinas was like, "Why were they investigating you?" And then he broke down that he was part of this religious organization, and there was a kid there that was pretty much got a whooping, and the kid ended up dying, and the FBI opened an investigation. And he's trying to break it down, like, you see how they do us, brother, because we're black and we're part of an organization. I'm like, nah, a kid died, but he just kept talking. We just let that go.
Oh yeah. See, I like I said, got red flag kind of raised from when I was talking to him. He got to talking about you got to be careful what you're saying, because I'm like, bro, get away from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear all that crap. You know what I'm saying?
What they'll do, they'll use that and be like, I'm a political prisoner. We
People
political
like that will
prisoners.
get your page
You know,
blocked.
oh man, you some
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like I said, I mean, nothing can excuse what and first of all, to be in Kenya, then talking about how they got a bad image of themselves or whatever, and not talking about what you did. You know what I'm saying? To kind of provoke that type of conduct is, I mean, that's what defendants do, right? You know what I'm
Not
saying?
even that. Where he went in Kenya, he went to an area where most people don't even understand English.
Yeah, and they damn so probably don't understand the Hebrew, right? They talk right? You know what I'm saying? Because they know, like, they're so Hebrew, right? You know what I mean? But I don't know anywhere in history where people were sitting around speaking in conversation in Hebrew, right?
I want to hear
So
what
you,
Johnny Jumbani got to say about this. What do you think about these guys being in Kibera slums talking that Hebrew Israelite talk?
Appreciate having me on the panel, Prince Dinas. I'm gonna try to keep it short, man. I think that is wrong for anybody to force their religion or beliefs on others. It just don't make sense. It's counterproductive. I feel like, especially for Black people, whenever you have any type of movement that tries to get you to ostracize or cast out another group, especially one of people that actually look like you, or try to get you to find small, distinct differences between the different groups, that's signs of a huge problem. And I think that more so that, as much as I have a disdain for people who do that, I really feel like people need to quit being susceptible to this and start to fortify themselves and think about what they're doing and what they're saying and what they mean, and start thinking critically when you start hearing things. No matter how charismatic somebody or well-spoken they might come off to be, you need to always take things with a grain of salt that they say, and make sure that they're speaking in actual facts, looking things up for yourself and learning from yourself, not just somebody else's interpretation of something. Bottom line. But
well
yeah,
said, bro.
yeah, appreciate it. Leave people alone and don't oppress people or add to their oppression of somebody, for your own gain or for what you feel like is for their best, their own good, or for their
Hey,
best
Johnny,
interest.
where you from?
I'm from California.
Where's your last name from?
Nyumbani is a Swahili word. It means
Oh, so
home.
you're not even Kenyan.
What's up?
I thought you were Kenyan. Nyumbani means home.
No, yeah, it is. It does. It's a Swahili word. It's not my actual last name. It's just a name I use. But yeah,
It don't just mean home; it means at home. Yeah, I'm fluent in
true. It means
Swahili
at
too.
home. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you're right. It means at home, specifically. Yeah.
Skywalker, you Kenyan?
No, brother, I'm African American, but I taught myself Swahili and I taught myself Chi to the point that I'm fluent in both of them.
Yo, this man, I'm
Hiya,
Kenyan.
kaka.
So I'm Kenyan, right?
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Kaka.
I'm
He's
Kenyan,
Swahili
and
sio rahisi.
this dude
You
was literally
Kenyan?
labeling like a bunch of our tribes heathens, and then going to Kenya and preaching.
Yeah, see, that's terrible, right? You know what I mean? Like, I got so much respect for the Kenyan people. Like I say, I learned to speak their language, because when you speak the language of a people, you're talking to the soul of their people. And and me, I'm not that kind of African American. I'm not that kind of tribalist. Like, to me, like, all Black people the same to me, even though I know we all don't tend to think like that. I definitely don't romanticize it either, right? But to go to someone else's home and to do something like that in such a sacred environment, right? Whether or not it's sacred to you doesn't matter. It's sacred to them, right? So I'm saying, was just absolutely reckless. And they probably got what they deserved.
You 100% get what you got coming whenever you cross the lines and is violating the sanctity of somebody's religious area.
Exactly.
So regardless if you believe it or not, you know what I mean, it's something you need to be respectful of, regardless. And it's something people usually learn at early ages and shit. But some people, I guess they never learn those lessons at all. When I was a kid, man, teenage years and shit, a friend of mine was from a different religion and stuff, and he was killed. And I went to his funeral, and his funeral was held by, they were a different ethnicity. And when I went to his funeral, I had to go along with the customs and stuff that they did out there out of respect for my friend. And, I learned to respect people's religions way back then, their practices, what they believe and stuff in a respectful way, how they send people home and everything. And it doesn't just transfer into people in death, but we got to keep that in mind in life too.
One question, brother. Do you think the Israelites will try to pull something like that in Qatar, Yemen, or Dubai?
Yeah, no, Skywalker.
Absolutely not, man.
Like I keep saying, go to Israel, go to Jerusalem,
They wouldn't
or
do it there.
whatever. Go to the Wailing Wall and pull the same shit.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen for sure. It wouldn't happen for sure. Nobody, we all know that, bro. If they even was allowed in, if they even had a seat at the table, they wouldn't ruin it so to speak, by trying to impose any type of or criticism to anything that Israel or anybody in the actual Middle East, and Qatar or Saudi Arabia or Iran was doing. You know, that's why again they go after people that are already oppressed and try to oppress them even more. You know, that's just a dumb way to go about it. You know, if they wanted to be proficient in what they in a message, then they can do what a lot of Christian churches do. And that's go and you do food drives and you go and do community outreach type things, not just go and start yelling.
Exactly, bro. That's a great point. That's a great point.
I mean, we know that all over the place, man. I remember, I ain't gonna tell too much, but I was talking to this girl, and she was she was a Mormon and she was black, and I was like, because you were telling me she's going to church in the morning and all this, and I'm like, how you going up at how did that happen? And she told me, like, you know, like I was down on my luck, you know, and these are the only people that actually helped me out, like actually came through and like helped me when I needed some stuff, you know, needed help. And that's what kind of recruited her to being a Mormon of all things. And I'm just like, yeah, if you kind of come with that type of message, it's going to be more well received. I forgot who was saying that earlier, but it's going to be better received than you just trying to come in and try to impose on somebody. Like you said, they're going to meet that fire with fire eventually.
Well, some white man somewhere got some chocolate in his collection of wives in the Mormon.
All right, y'all, we'll go ahead and close out, but I'll do a part 2 in about an hour. If you got, hey, sorry about that. Hold on. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror, search for Haru. Peace.